Good morning and welcome to the Mike Graham Show. I'm Mike Graham and this is the Mike Graham Show sign, and you can tell that we're on time. It's Friday, 7 o'clock, we're on time. Hey, it's already a good start. Hang on, my collar's not right though, there's something wrong with it. Pooch is here wearing a suit which looks incredibly good, by the way. You may have to come and show us. Come and show us. Pooch, we're going to a do tonight, you see. Look at that. Look at that. Here he is.
Can you do your tie as well, by the way?
Oh, can you? All right.
You carry on talking.
All right, I'll carry on talking.
And I'm letting the slide down.
Yeah, you came in the other day, right, in a suit, right? And why was he wearing a suit? He was wearing a suit because he thought he was going to go on GB News.
Go to court.
So you have to go to court. Character reference, obviously,
money.
only. Or collecting money. Anyway, Will Geddes is here, obviously, as you can see. And welcome to you. We've got lots to talk about this morning. Two pieces of bad news, first of all, to tell you. One, Sadiq Khan's been made a lord, which is about as depressing a piece of news as I could come up with. We've got a poll on that as well, which we'll give you in a minute. And also Keir Starmer. This is his last day, apparently, as leader of the Labour Party, that's not the bad news, by the way. The bad news is that he's got another award. This one from Kiev, from Ukraine.
It was very cheap.
From the Ukrainians. According to George Galloway, the Ukrainians have given him an award because he went there, basically gave him 300 million quid, right? And they went, here's an award. Should we play that?
Yeah.
We got that clip, Charlotte. Charlotte was with me yesterday. We had a very nice day down at CPAC. I was on a panel, met some very nice people from the Welsh Senedd, who we're going to get on the show later on in the month, probably. Nice tie, says Miss Bubbles. It is nice, isn't it? This is one of my many Jeff Banks ties that he sent in the other day. Have we got the STARMER clip? Are you still looking? All right, let's have a look. Let's go.
Thank you so much, Vladimir. And let me start by thanking you and Ukraine so much for the award that you've just bestowed on me. That was completely unexpected. A very, very meaningful surprise, and it really means a huge amount to me. I have to say, when I see the courage and resilience across Ukraine, both on the front line and of civilians every day, it is humbling to receive such an award, and I will treasure that forever. Thank you so much, Vladimir. It has been a real privilege to stand alongside you for the last 2 years and to support Ukraine in this fight. As you...
STARMER alert.
STARMER alert. Let's have the STARMER alert. I mean, so here's the thing. Yeah. If I had 300 million quid, right, I would not go to the Ukrainians, the Ukrainians and give it to them. But, I mean, I suppose if they said, we'll give you a nice award that you can put up in your toilet, you'd go, all right. Because, of course, just the other day, he got an award from Macron for the Legion d'Honneur, right? Oh, which it turns out was an award given by Napoleon to the enemies.
It's a serious award.
It's a decent honour, but you only get it if you're an enemy of Britain, right? So they've given it to Starmer.
I didn't know that.
They've given it because of the Napoleonic Wars, right? Yeah. I mean, they were against us.
Well, he was an enemy of Britain.
He was,
and
he was a short bloke who obviously had issues with his height, and therefore decided to start attacking the rest of the world.
Is this Macron or Napoleon?
Both. Yeah. Napoleon was a bit cleverer than Macron, I think.
Mike, got a good video. Can we play a video?
Oh yeah, what have you got? Let's have a look.
That exchange between Sean Bailey and myself is proof, if it was ever needed, that we should abolish the House of Lords.
He's not there yet, Chair.
Plank. So he wants to abolish the House of Lords. I agree. So when he goes in it, just abolish it, fold it in on itself, and nobody gets out. And that's the end.
Just lock all the doors.
Just lock all the doors.
Yeah, super glue them shut.
Yeah.
Did that before.
Yeah. We spoke to Sharon Davis about it, and I said to Charlotte earlier, Sharon Davis is about twice Sadiq Khan's height. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
She runs into him in the corridor.
And knock him over.
Give him a good slapping.
Skittles.
Yeah. I mean, does this mean, though, that it's a backdoor, as it were, way to get into a government? Because remember when they gave David Cameron a peerage so that he could become the Foreign Secretary? And I wonder if they want to. I wonder if old Andy Burnham, who apparently is going to become, that's the other bit of news today. Andy Burnham becomes the leader of the Labour Party today.
Oh, does he?
Yeah,
officially
today. And then on Monday he becomes the Prime Minister. And then presumably on Tuesday, the master of time, space and dimension. And he just gives himself another reward.
Where he will open up a portal.
I know.
Yeah.
How soon? All right, here's a question for you. How soon before Andy Burnham goes to visit the Ukrainians
Yeah.
and gives away some more of our money?
Well, Rachel Reeves has already pledged, what, $3 billion a year
Hopefully
for
she's
indefinite amount of period.
hopefully she's out. So we might
Who's
not-
going to take over,
Richard III.
West Streeting?
It's just going to be Richard. Is there a Richard IV? There isn't one, is there? We haven't had a Richard IV.
Have we not?
Who would Richard IV be? What do you think?
Richard, probably.
Richard or Dick? Dick the Fourth.
Turpin.
Dick Turpin. At least he wore a mask.
Maybe this is the
as they
poll
say.
for today.
Well, no, we've got a poll for today.
Have you?
Where is the poll?
Yeah, come on.
Have you got it? It's a Sadiq Khan inspired poll from Pooch when he was on his way in. He never stops working, this man. What does it say?
Give me a minute.
Have you got? I'll give you a minute. All right.
Right.
We finish at 10, you know. But any time you're ready. So the front
Plenty of
pages.
time.
Front pages this morning.
It's a
what have you
busy
got?
day in the
What's
papers.
the Sun doing, by the way?
What's the Sun
The
doing?
Sun, they've
What do
gone
you mean?
mad. Well, they've gone a bit mad, haven't they? On the
They
front
have gone
page?
totally mad. I mean, to be honest, okay, I'm not a massive football fan, to be honest. But, I mean, really?
Yeah, they've
Still?
done a headline that says only 693 days until the Euros.
I mean, come on, guys. Is it really that slow a news day?
And by then,
Yeah.
their circulation will be about 2,000.
Probably,
Right.
which is it's saying something when the Sun used to be the biggest newspaper in the UK,
Well,
wasn't it?
I was on with Kelvin earlier on in the week,
Yeah.
and I said to him that I ran into a mate of mine, former circulation director at the Mirror,
Yeah.
who's actually still there. And I said, what are the Sun actually selling now?
Yeah.
Because they don't report it. You know, they've opted out of the ABC, Audit Bureau Circulation. And he said about 350,000. When Kelvin was editor,
Wow.
it was 4.4 million.
Yes.
So they've literally lost 4.1 million.
Is that because most of it's gone online, do you think?
No.
Really?
No, it's just because people don't buy papers.
Yeah.
It's not as funny as it used to be.
No.
It's just not really.
It used to be good.
I mean, people.
I mean, look at this. We're,
in like
we're
the 80s,
front page.
in the 80s and 90s,
2, 3,
if you
4, 5.
if you worked in the city, you would buy the Sun no
Yeah.
matter what. You'd buy the FT and you'd
Yeah.
buy the Sun. Those were the two papers you'd buy.
It was like on a Sunday, you'd buy the Sunday Times,
Yeah.
and you'd buy the Mail on Sunday, and
Yeah.
you'd buy the News of the World.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you walk home with a great big sack full of paper, you know. But yeah, so you got the poll. Here we go. STARMER has given Sadiq Khan a peerage. What will he be the lord of? Lord of hypocrisy? Lord of tiny men? Lord of lies?
Perfect.
Lord of fines. Lord of lies seems to be the front runner at the moment, 46%. Lord of the flies you could put in there as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, interesting. Lordy, I'll tell you what we should also play is we went down to CPAC yesterday, which is a great do.
Yeah.
I was very honoured to be asked to be part of a panel.
So for the uneducated,
Yes.
what was CPAC?
CPAC is an organisation which was started in America
Right.
as a kind of fundraising and lobbying group for the right wing,
Okay.
effectively. And they kind of made it possible for Donald Trump to be president.
Okay.
And they started raising money for him
Yep.
for the first time around, you know, because it wasn't clear when he first started to run. People didn't really believe it. They were kind of going, how is Donald Trump going to be president? It's not going to happen. And a lot of people in the Republican Party didn't really want it to happen
Yeah.
because they thought he was a very uncouth. And I was talking to a guy called Matt Schlapp, who is the chairman of CPAC in the US.
Okay.
And he worked in the George Bush White House.
Yeah.
He was like political director for George Bush's presidency. And he was really
Is this
interesting.
number 2 or senior?
Number 2.
Okay. Yep.
So he was talking yesterday. He was telling us when we stopped the panel. The panel was sort of talking about the problem for the right wing, keeping the left wing at bay, and
Right.
making sure that we don't get taken over by all these, you know, complete and utter woke maniacs, you know, because we're all suffering from the same thing. There was a guy from Poland
Right.
who ran the biggest TV station in Poland, who was really good,
Yeah.
and another guy his name was Paolo Zanzini or something like that, who I said to Pooch, he sounded like he played for Inter Milan back in the 70s, a goalkeeper, you know. But he was really good as well.
Yeah.
And so he talked a lot about the need for the right to kind of not squabble amongst themselves and to kind of get the.
But I'm sure you got a few nut jobs that turned up, didn't you, or not?
Well, I mean, the thing is, you
Or
know,
was it pretty well sort of
we like to
curated?
call it a broad church,
Right.
So there are some people who are a bit eccentric, shall we
Okay.
say? But I mean, people were very nice. They came up to me and said nice things about the show.
Right.
Met lots of people that I'd met before at various other functions. But one of the things that we talked about as well was that Trump, second time around, they didn't want him. and the Republicans tried to stop him from running.
Oh, yeah.
And you know,
Well, they
particularly
launched all those legal cases.
yeah,
against
and
him
all
for
that, and
starters,
all
to
that
try and put him
lawfare,
away. Yeah.
which is what we were talking about with regard to Nigel Farage, which is what they're trying to do to Farage. It's
Exactly.
It's exactly the same playbook.
Yeah.
But one of the funny things was there was a sort of exhibitors hall, if you like, where we had a little stand, and we were supposed to have a banner. But the banner didn't arrive.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So we had Bannergate, yeah. So I
Yeah.
think we ordered about 3 of them, right? And they're still coming. They'll arrive at some point. If you've
We can
got
stick
our
'em up
banner,
behind, Mike.
if you've got it, would you mind letting us know? Because it may have been delivered to you in error. So we had a piece of paper just with Mike Graham written on it.
I love it.
And I held it up and I was like, Anna McGovern was there doing some work for us, and she interviewed me, and we'll maybe play it later. And it said, I just said, look, this is the very, very bespoke banner that we've got here.
Love it.
But when I walked in, right, guess who was occupying the space behind us, immediately behind us, right, was Talk
Right.
TV, and they had a big Talk banner, right? And so
Obviously a good banner supplier.
so they obviously had their own banner,
Yeah.
which was great. And I thought this would be great because if they're broadcasting live from down there, right, I could just kind of appear from behind the
Oh, my
banner
God.
and just go, ooh, hello. Anyway, so they weren't
sure they
doing
would
it.
have appreciated
but there was a
that.
couple of producers there that I knew, and I said, do you want to interview me? And they were kind of nervous about it, didn't want to do it.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't want to. They were like, I said, be fine. I mean,
I wonder why, Mike.
yeah, I said, do you want to have my views on, what's going on? Anyway, so I did a little video while I was there. Have you got that?
Yeah.
Let's have a look.
I'll be recording.
So hello, here I am inside CPAC. I found myself in front of the talk booth. There's nobody here. I was hoping they might give me a chance to be interviewed, but there's no one here. So I don't know what's happened. It's almost as though since I left, there's just nobody left. They've all disappeared. I don't know why. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Anyway, I hope you're all enjoying it, and I'll see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. on the Mike Graham Show.
Not until.
There's the lovely Charlotte, of course.
Lovely.
So was that?
Actually, Charlotte, you're doing a great job security-wise. So you're covering all your arcs,
Yeah.
I could see.
Yeah, it's keeping
see
your
if there
eyes-
was incoming
eyes all
talk
over the place.
representatives so you could intercept.
Yeah, lawyers,
That's
anything like that. So, but it was a great day. I met some very nice people from the Welsh Senedd, as I said. We're going to get some of them on, and somehow ended up doing tequila shots with them at some point.
Sounds like an excellent
in
day.
the sunshine, which was quite nice. But it was early on, so we got home early enough. So I had a pretty good sleep because we're going to go back today.
Any of the weirdo Greens or lefties turn up
Do
to
you
try
know,
and protest?
I was quite surprised. It was too hot for them, I think, because
Really?
it was quite a hot day.
I'm surprised they
And
didn't turn up just to sort of try
Yeah.
and start a little bit of
I was surprised.
trouble.
Yeah, I
or
didn't-
Antifa types.
Didn't see any. No, because
Really?
maybe they don't know what's going on. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's all been organised by Liz Truss, and so today I've got to go down and have lunch with her and some other people. Then we've got a big dinner tonight. Pooch is coming, which is why he's all dressed up.
That's the reason.
It's a bit of a
Okay.
black tie thing, so he's going to get his crack his dinner jacket out.
Out with the DJ.
And ball gowns all around for Charlotte and anybody else that's coming with us. Who else? Anybody else coming? Well, Anna's coming, isn't she?
Yeah,
Anna
sounds good.
McGovern. So it'll be good. And then I've been invited on a boat party afterwards. After party.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Is this a boat that moves or a boat
Yeah.
that's moored?
Yeah, it's a boat that moves.
See, I hate those.
Do you?
Yeah, because you can't get off it.
Can't get off.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to throw myself off at Rotherhithe and just swim
the last
swim
bit.
home.
Shout.
Which
Yeah.
should be fine.
But generally, if someone says to me, "Oh, we're going to have a boat party," I'm like, "Is it moored or is
Yeah.
it moving? If
Yeah.
it's moving, I ain't coming."
No,
Yeah.
I normally
'Cause-
speaking, I would agree with you.
Yeah.
But because of where it is, it's actually going to end up closer to my house because we're going to drop us off in Westminster, I think.
Oh, nice.
So that'll be good.
That's all right.
Yeah, because I had that once on a train with the kids. We went on one of those theme trains, where they go, oh, let's take the kids. It's like a Harry Potter theme train. I was like,
God.
oh, that'll be good. And we were on it for about 2.5 hours. I was really not happy. By the end of it, they were all they'd all abandoned me because I was in such a bad mood. I sat on my own on this corner of this train. It was horrible.
Barking at children and families.
Barking at children, yeah.
Nice.
Anyway, should
Yeah.
we do some other stories?
Yes.
How about this one, right? The Daily Mail.
Yeah.
Foreign aid farce over Rochdale grooming gang boss.
this is
Ministers
right
last
on that.
night signed off £153 million in foreign aid
Yes.
for Pakistan. What
Yeah.
are they doing? Despite the country refusing to take back the grooming gang boss Shabir Ahmed.
Yeah.
Why are they giving him 153 million quid? Are they
I
gone
have
mad?
no idea. And why do
Idiots.
they need it for starters? I mean,
I know.
There are so many countries that are receiving foreign aid from us that
Yeah.
you just think, Why?
Yes.
Why do they need it? Why are we giving it to them? What the hell's going on there?
I mean, we should surely be saying to them, I'll tell you what, you can have £153 million in foreign aid, but you've also got to take this scumbag back.
Yeah.
All right? And you do whatever you like with him. You kill him if you want.
Yeah.
You know, hang him, put him up on a crane, do whatever you want, but you've got to take him back.
I liked the way Trump did this when he was trying to deport those, I think it was to Colombia, wasn't it?
Yes.
A bunch of criminals that he was trying to get back
That's
there.
right.
And they turned up with the criminals. And
they were
Colombian authorities.
They were actually in mid-air.
Yeah.
They were flying into Bogota or somewhere.
Exactly.
And the Colombians said, no, we're not going to accept the plane.
So he said...
and he just went, all right, well, we'll cut off every single bit of aid that we're giving you. Yeah. And also, any of your people that arrive at any port of call, any airport, they get immediately either arrested or sent home.
Yeah.
And they went...
And doubling your tariffs
as
well.
And also, doubling tariffs.
Yeah.
And so they went, oh, okay then, and you can land the plane. And
we'll take it back. That's
simple.
what we should be doing with this.
But exactly right.
Plan.
I know.
Get Pakistan's a nuclear power.
Yes.
Exactly.
Why are we giving them aid anyway?
I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I mean, they don't need money from us. I mean, we should probably be getting money from them, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
Absolutely ridiculous. Front page of the newspaper, Andy Burnham will be Prime Minister in 72 hours. Keir Starmer... God, hang on.
Oh, yeah?
So, you remember we said what's going to happen? How's he going to do it? Keir Starmer will address the nation in a final speech from outside 10 Downing Street on Monday morning. Oh, man. I wonder if it will be in our time. Will we be able to take it live, or we should just ignore it?
Will it be like a hand-to-hand job?
It will be a hand-to-hand job, yeah. And Burnham will come down. I wonder if he's bringing Mrs. Burnham, because...
I haven't seen Mrs. Bing.
She likes to stay up to... She's from the Netherlands. Up to north. She's from North Netherlands.
North
Netherlands.
So it's north somewhere.
Yeah. She's got an electric car connection.
Of course she has.
There's some kind of business which we haven't quite really explored, because no journalist is doing its story, right? But she's got connections with Octopus Energy.
Yeah.
Is that her? There she is, yeah. She looks a bit like Annie Lennox, doesn't she? Mrs. Burnham. Well, you know, why has he got his hand around on our back like that? It's a bit misogynistic, I'd say.
Yeah,
anyway,
it's very misogynistic.
Very misogynistic.
Controlling.
Tit North.
Everything.
Yeah, but you know, that's how we treat our women in Tit North. We don't let them go to work in Tit North. Apparently she got some contract from Manchester Council.
Oh, funny that.
Something to do with electric cars. I don't know all the details. We'll have to look into it. But there's already questions being asked. But no journalist is... They're all too busy trying to stitch up Nigel Farage.
I know, and they're not doing a great job, to be honest.
No.
They're kind of falling on their proverbial backsides, aren't they?
How about this, right? Here's some more details. Starmer will be the shortest-serving Labour Prime Minister in history, which is good, at 745 days. But still longer than Rishi Sunak and Liz Truss. Why do they have to make that point? Yeah. Labour MPs fire their first warning shots calling for real change. What are they talking about? Andy Burnham will arrive with his new team to start work as the UK's next Prime Minister, the 6th in 10 years. So there will be some kind of handover of some kind.
And then what is going to happen next? Are we getting any kind of forecast as to
they
any improvements, or are we just going to sink into?
Well, no, because he's not even going to appear before Parliament, right? So before the summer recess begins, which will be next, I think, Wednesday.
Okay.
You won't see him in the House of Commons, right? So he won't have any scrutiny from the MPs as to what he's going to do. He'll appoint, presumably, Shabana Mahmood to be his Chancellor.
Of course.
Rachel Reeves will be given the heave-ho out of number 11.
Yeah.
So she'll probably
get her old job back.
She'll burst into tears again, right?
Probably, yes.
She said on Sunday with Laura Kunsberg, she said, when Laura Kunsberg said, what's your any advice for your successor? And she said, well, don't cry at work. And then she was crying again on Wednesday.
What, on Kunsberg?
No, on Wednesday she was crying again, the Prime Minister's questions.
I mean,
just awful.
Bless her.
Should we get rid of the recess, Mike? 6 weeks holidays.
Yeah, of course. I mean, why do they get 6 weeks off?
I don't know.
And of course, they'd all say, we do a lot of work.
teachers.
We do a lot of work in our constituencies. No, you bloody don't. You know, it's like me saying I'm going on holiday, but I'm still working.
6 weeks holiday, that would be nice.
6 weeks holiday,
God,
absolutely
I could do
ridiculous.
that.
You know,
paid,
and
yes.
paid, yeah, absolutely right. How about this for a story? This is in the Telegraph. 600,000 Brits are too fat to work.
I saw that.
How can you be too fat to work?
I thought everybody was getting the jab, the Manjaro or Ozempic or
apart from Adam Bolton.
NHS.
Apart from Adam Bolton. As Kelvin describes him, the Manjaro-resistant Adam Bolton.
Manjaro
It doesn't seem to be working for him.
Oh, bless him. I didn't even know he was on it.
Well,
and nobody else does.
well, the thing is,
Yeah.
you know, he's tried. It didn't work. But how can you be? If you're really, really fat, you can still do stuff, can't
Of course
you?
you can, absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
you could work
intermittent fast.
Pie shop.
in a pie shop, yeah.
Yeah.
You can sit behind the turnstiles at the cinema, couldn't you? Do they still don't have turnstiles anymore, do they?
Turnstiles at the cinema. When was the last time you went to the cinema?
Do you know, I haven't been for years.
Yeah.
Because I
You
fall
can be a
asleep.
tube driver,
I fall asleep. And you can't get into the cab.
can't you? Well, it
No.
depends on how big you are. I
Yeah.
suppose.
I mean, if you're really fat, I'm talking really
Vaseline.
fat. If you're really fat,
Push in.
what can't you do? Crane
I
operator.
do, you know, I've never really thought about it. My brain's not able to function on that one today.
I need some ideas from some
Yeah,
people
maybe-
out there.
maybe that could be
Get
another
yourselves
poll.
on the
Yeah.
YouTube chat and tell me what can't you do if you're really fat.
Hmm.
And keep it clean, please.
Belly dancer.
Belly dancer. No, you could do that.
Oh, you're fully qualified for that, Pooh.
Belly dancer.
We're going to belly dancing.
Belly dancing. I
Yes.
went to a belly dancing place once in New York.
I did a similar one in New York. Did you enjoy it?
No,
No, I didn't.
it was awful. It was really dark.
Yeah.
And they did it. My daughter at the time was going out with this guy from Algeria, and his mate owned the restaurant.
really?
And she's
Okay.
like, "For your birthday, we're going to take you to this."
Lucky
and I was
you.
like, "Oh right, okay."
Yeah.
And it was all terrible.
Was it?
Hated it.
I've been to Morocco and seen belly dancing down there.
Have you?
Hey, it was good.
Was it?
It was good, yeah. Would I go again?
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah, it's a once in a
Yeah.
lifetime sort of
It
thing.
is.
Isn't
It's
it?
kind of like, excellent. Team, done that.
Yeah, I mean, you can drive an Uber, presumably, as if you're
You
really
could
fat.
drive, yeah.
Do you know, when I worked in America, there was a guy called Brian Hall, who was the fattest bloke I've ever seen. And
So nice shout out to you, Brian. Hope you're doing well, mate.
no, when he went, he was a reporter, right, and he was so fat. You sent him anywhere.
We're getting very fattest
That's it,
today,
I don't
Mike.
care. You used to have to get him two airline seats.
Oh. Now, you see, I have a real thing about that.
And one day, there was a Scottish guy that worked with us called Bob Smith, who's dead now. And he said, "We've got to find out how much he weighs." And we were like, "Okay." So we persuaded him. We said, "Right, we're going to take you out to the weigh station, right? And we're going to weigh the car with you in it, and then without you in it."
Oh.
And he did it as well. And then we followed him. We followed him one day, and it was we worked at this place called Tarrytown, just north of New York, in sort of upstate a little bit. And he went to Burger King for lunch, right? And we watched
Obviously,
him.
yeah.
Surreptitiously watched him. He ordered 7 burgers, right? And he ate 6 of them in the car, and then he came back to the office with 1 to make it look as if he was only eating 1 burger.
Oh, bless him.
What do you mean, bless him?
Overactive thyroid, obviously.
Yeah, well,
Nothing to do with the 7 burgers.
well, 7 burgers for lunch.
We've got some suggestions, Mike.
Oh yeah, what
Yeah.
fat people can't do? Salad test.
Salad tester, yeah.
Very good,
Don't think
Robert.
they'd last long in
Thank
the
you
job
very
on
much.
that one.
Mountain climber from Grandad, yeah. I didn't know that was a job, to be honest. Bomb disposal officer.
Nice.
Well, you could do that, I suppose.
Yeah.
Downhill ski jumper, very funny and massively fat, says
What you
Stuart.
can do is
Father Christmas. Yeah.
Always.
There you go.
Yeah, but that's a pretty short job, isn't it?
But I don't understand why people can't work just because they're fat.
No excuse.
What's that about?
No excuse.
I don't think.
Lazy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I learnt to drive a forklift when I was 60 and a bit fat, says Colin.
Yeah.
Fat people can't be dietitians or physiotherapists.
No, that's true.
I've always been a bit worried actually if you go and see, say, a doctor who's really fat.
Yeah.
Because you think, well, that's not very good, is it?
No.
You don't want a
like
fat
PTs.
doctor.
I never understand when you see these PTs. Yeah.
Overactive knife and fork.
One, sorry.
Yeah. Very good. Is this David Lammy impersonator?
Brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yep.
No problem at all.
Could do that.
Yeah, it's a weird story though, that, isn't it? Also, apparently, where's the other story we've got? David Davis has been talking about Nicola Sturgeon.
Oh,
because
yeah?
you know David Davis was a good friend of Alex Salmond's.
Yes.
And in fact, he and I both did a show with Alex Salmond up in Edinburgh Festival, must have been the year before last, I suppose. And he's still campaigning to clear Alex Salmond's name.
Okay.
And he's basically now saying that Peter Murrell and all of the robbery that he was doing of the money was known by Nicola Sturgeon. He got up in Parliament yesterday and actually said it. Parliamentary privilege. So he's basically said that she knew exactly what was going on.
I'm sure she did.
And that she actually took part in her most evil act was to ruin Alex Salmond's reputation. So
Yeah.
I think we've got a little clip. Have a look at this.
Said David Davis. Madam Deputy Speaker, last month's sentencing of Nicola Sturgeon's husband exposed the real reasons behind the Scottish Government's persecution of Alex Salmond. From 2010 to 2022, Peter Murrell abused his position to embezzle almost $500,000 from the SNP to buy luxury items. He used the SNP money to buy a £33,000 Volkswagen Golf. Then he stole £57,000 to buy a Jaguar car. Further luxuries included handbags, an £850 gold pendant, 4 separate coffee machines costing £9,000, luxury kitchenware, at least 26 fountain pens costing nearly £21,000, and 2 Dyson £350 Dyson hairdryers for a man with no hair. Really? Then, of course, the infamous £124,000 motorhome. Did Sturgeon not wonder where he got the money for all those vehicles? The kitchenware, the handbags, the pens, the pendants she loved? After all, who used the Dyson hairdryers in that household? My view on her denials is clear. She is lying. She knew full well what her husband was doing and how those luxury purchases were funded. That Murrell was a thief was obvious in the 1980s when he stole from Alex Salmond. Salmond told Sturgeon it was deeply unwise to keep her husband on as chief executive, but she kept him in place, enabling his crimes for years. Eventually, in March 2021, 3 members of the SNP's Finance Committee withdrew and resigned, blaming chaotic and incompetent financial management. And they were, on their own words, on the receiving end of a hostile backlash driven by Sturgeon's toxic culture. They resigned in protest. Later on, they were followed by the finance director of the treasurer, rather, of the organisation. But Sturgeon told colleagues at the meeting where those first resignations happened, there are no reasons for the people to be concerned about the party's finances.
I think he's absolutely right. I think she knew.
Of course she knew.
She must
Mike.
have known, right?
I'll tell you what. Not that the BBC do some good documentaries occasionally, but there was a good one on her and her thieving husband.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, they just stink, the pair of them.
They do.
They knew exactly what was going on, and they were just lining their own pockets.
Yeah.
I like David Davis. He's one of the good guys, I think. Definitely.
Somebody, by the way, has done...
Someone sent you
Did you get a message from the mother of your children, Mike?
I did. She just said, well, you managed to work. That's not very nice, is it? Huh? Well, look at this, right?
Harsh.
Somebody sent in, I think this is on a Substack, a picture of me, of some underpants with my face on. What do you reckon?
Brilliant.
Isn't that good? Should we do those? Should we get Donald's merch store involved?
Donald's merch store,
Yeah.
Go to UK
Extra
Live,
large.
UK Live Online.co.uk and we'll put it on there. One
There you
size.
go. One size fits all. There's only
Brilliant.
one size. Here you go.
Can they do those as a speedo, and then I can take them on my holidays?
Yeah, nice.
Fat
Excellent.
people. Fat people can't help people stuck in quicksand. I mean,
Can't pilot a migrant dinghy.
technically they
unfortunately. I
might
like
be
that.
able to.
Yeah, because
if you go into this quicksand, would you not force people up if you went into the quicksand? Yeah, there you go. Archimedes principle. Fat people can't see their nether regions. No,
That's for sure.
so I believe. Parachute regiment soldier. It must be Friday, I guess, right?
Oh, yes.
Friday.
Everyone's on form today.
It's the Friday feeling. Because there's not much news around, you see, that's the thing.
No.
Here we are, once again, we're in this kind of time-lapse position where
Pothole instructors.
nothing's happening. What?
Pothole instructors.
Potholes. Yeah. Caving.
Spelunking.
What about skydiving?
Well, Galileo proved you go the same speed regardless.
Well, they do that thing with a feather,
Oh, I
don't they?
don't know.
You drop a feather, but it's not true, though. If you,
And a
if
fat
you,
They did it
person.
on the moon. Did it on the moon.
well, but
It's
if
air resistance.
But if you, by the way, I meant to talk to you
Hang
about
on,
this
zero
because
gravity on the moon, Pooch.
It's a sixth of the gravity.
did you see that story about Buzz Aldrin's pen?
No, what happened?
There's a great story which I was looking for yesterday. And I couldn't find it. Maybe somebody can send it to me if they do find it. But apparently they were auctioning a pen that Buzz Aldrin used in space, right? Because there was something broken on the lunar module, and he stuck a pen into the hole that was broken to fix it. And if it hadn't happened, they wouldn't have been able to take off.
Wow.
They would have been stuck on the moon, right?
Yeah.
And they were auctioning the pen, and they reckoned it was going to make about $2 or $3 million.
Wow.
And it was just like a biro.
Yeah.
They
What
were
did it go for? Do we know?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to see if we can find that.
Okay, there's a video of the hammer and feather falling on the moon, same speed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the moon, though.
This is a Friday show.
No, but all the moon is showing is there's no air resistance.
Ah.
So gravity is the same, but it's air resistance.
But if you drop a feather out of a plane, right,
Air resistance.
and then a person, the person will fall quicker than the feather.
Because the feathers is resistant to the air. The air resists the feather. If there's, in a vacuum, they fall at the same rate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Glad we sorted that one out. Anyway, listen. What else have we got? Any other news? Oh,
I don't jump out of planes anymore.
Imagine trying to get into the space shuttle. Claudia Winkleman's on the front pages. Apparently, why
being sacked.
Well, hang on. This is clever.
Yeah.
It says, "Why I'm quitting my new chat show." No, you're not quitting your new chat show. They haven't renewed it because it was crap.
Yeah.
That's basically what's going on here. But we've decided to PR it and convince everybody who reads the Daily Mail, because they're not very bright, that actually I'm decided to quit. It's like me going, we haven't made any money this month, so I'm not renewing my contract.
Yes.
But in fact, it turns out actually we're not making any money, so we're going to do something else.
Exactly.
Like drive an Uber.
You're not doing a show get too nervous. That's what she said.
I think
she gets nervous.
It's the fate of Strictly, isn't it? So I think since she sacked herself from Strictly, and they decided
Also,
to
what's
revamp
going on with
the
her
show.
hair, by the way?
What's that? Her hair? It's always been like that, Mike.
Yeah, but I know, but it's just not. It doesn't look normal, does it?
Stupid.
It just looks ridiculous, don't you think?
We had her in a poll once, didn't we, Claudia?
I once had dinner with her when she was 18.
Did you?
And I don't mean that to sound funny, but it was she was
Oh,
no, because
okay, I was setting up for this
because I know her
story.
parents.
Yeah.
Nick Lloyd was her dad, and Eve Pollard was her mother.
Eve Pollard?
Yeah.
Oh, what? From the papers?
Yeah, Eve Pollard, yeah.
Oh, really?
Lady Eve Pollard and Sir Nicholas
Is
Lloyd.
she still around?
Yeah.
Is she?
Yeah,
Yeah, because
absolutely.
she used to be on the TV all the time.
She was on the TV a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
she's very nice actually.
Yeah,
and
she
Claudia
seems like
was
nice,
very
I think.
nice as well. And she was just
Her sister is almost identical to her
Is she?
as well. I don't know whether they're twins or not, but I met the sister.
I don't think so.
She was in TV.
She wasn't at the dinner. I think if they'd been twins, they'd have both been there, wouldn't they?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sophie.
Oh, she's got a brother who I met as well. But yeah, so Claudia Winkleman has waltzed away from her high-profile BBC chat show, saying that she was just too nervous to enjoy it. What's a load of old cobblers?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not buying that. Huh?
Yeah, I can't even remember her having a chat show. When was it on?
I think it was a Saturday night thing. Well, I don't
Was
watch
it?
Saturday night TV.
Nor do I. I mean, those were the days. I was having
Do you
this
remember when-
conversation
do you
with
remember
someone the other day.
When we all used to sit down on a Saturday night and you'd watch TV from sort of 7... Well, you'd watch Grandstand and get the football results. And
I think
then
the
you'd
last-
literally watch everything from then until
$6 million man.
the $6 million man.
I think the last big
Dallas,
show.
was Dallas on?
Dallas.
Dallas was on.
Rockford Files.
Yeah, Rockford.
Showing my age now.
Yeah.
Banana Split.
Generation Game. No, that was in the afternoon. Generation Game.
Generation Game.
Cuddly Toy.
Blankety Blank.
Don't remember. I saw Blankety Blank the other day.
You don't remember Blankety Blank?
Not really, no.
No.
Really?
No. I wonder if I was in America or something.
You might have been.
It's
Yeah.
possible.
Blankety Blank.
Because you're a bit younger than me, aren't you? Or thereabouts.
I think we're about the same
No,
age.
I saw Blankety Blank the other day. It was bloody awful. It was really woke. They had some Muslim woman on it, sorry.
Sorry.
Covered in, head covered, doing answering questions. I was just, what's going on here? It was just very woke. I just thought it was. They had sort of every nationality recognised, apart from anybody British.
What was the last? What was the last?
Keir Starmer is a blankety blank. What do people think?
Yeah.
What was the
keep it
last
clean.
big Saturday night show that you can remember? I think the last one I can think of, which was sort of
Well,
like
the
a family
Generation
event,
Game.
was. No, I'd say the Anton Deck
Yes.
Saturday night show. That was
I
the
didn't watch
last
that.
one I can think.
Saturday night special.
I think
Yeah.
the last time I watched was when Britain's Got Talent was good.
Oh God,
Right.
what was that? The first season?
Probably the first season.
Yeah.
The one that Susan Boyle was in. Because we would sit with the kids and watch that.
How? What was the name of the Paul Potts? Was it?
Paul Potts.
Paul
The
Potts.
opera singer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Cover potted.
Yeah.
I used to work with a guy called Paul Potts. That's why I got confused.
Paul Poe.
No, not Paul Potts. Paul Potts. Yeah, he was the deputy editor of the Daily
Black
Express.
people can be opera singers.
They can be. I was looking at you, Mike, years ago, and you looked very podgy. says Justine.
John.
Thanks very much, Justine. Yeah, well, I was actually. I mean, it's quite horrific. I go
This
back
is the
to,
abuse hour, isn't
Yeah,
it?
no, but I go back to when I was at Talk. I was really fat, and I said I was having lunch with somebody from Virgin the other day, and I said to him, "Why didn't you tell me?" He went, "Well, we didn't really think of you as anything other. We just thought you were larger than life character." I said, "Well, I was bloody larger
That's a
than
very
life."
polite way of putting it.
It was a
isn't
very
it?
polite way of putting it.
Well, I
but-
was 11 kilos heavier this time last year.
Were you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, how did you lose 11 kilos?
Intermittent fasting, training hard.
What's
Didn't do the
intermittent?
pen. Didn't do the pen.
You didn't do the pen,
No, I
no.
didn't do the pen.
No, it's not what.
Because
No.
everybody I know who's done the pen, their whole face just goes.
Yeah, it doesn't look normal.
Like that.
You don't look normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I was 20 kilos lighter than I
Are
was.
you?
Then. Yeah.
That's impressive. How did you do it?
Just changed my diet a little bit, walking
Yeah.
a bit more, did a bit of
Training
weightlifting.
So you've got to
bit
do
of
it all
training.
of this. You've got to do it all.
Yeah.
Intermittent fasting I
I
found
don't
really
do.
helpful.
Yeah, I intermittently
Yeah.
fast when I'm asleep.
that
That's
helps.
basically when I don't eat. You know.
How many nights? How many?
Noel's house party, Mr.
Oh
Blobby.
yeah, I remember that.
So, you know, a mate of mine
Love
met Noel and said he was a horrible, absolutely horrible individual.
He's a nutcase. I remember I met him at ITV.
He lives in New Zealand now, doesn't he?
Yeah. But
I think
was
has he not
mad.
had a row with his neighbour already?
Yeah, he is a loony.
He's
Yeah.
not very nice. Well, the guy, my mate worked for Small Bones of Devices, you know,
Kitchen
the
makers.
kitchen people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And he wanted his own kitchen made, and he lived somewhere in the Cotswolds or something. So my guy went off to see him, and he was very tall. He's like 6'5", and my
Your
friend,
mate. Yeah, I was going to say because Noel's
yeah, not
he's
Noel
a
Edmonds.
midget.
No,
Yeah.
he's a midget.
Yeah.
And sorry, it's very small, diminutive, and
What can very small people do?
You mean midget? Yeah.
caving. And so apparently, so he went there and he had the conversation. And he said, "Well, this is what I want." And I said, "All right, we'll get a team together. We'll get some designs done." He rang Small Bones of Devices and said, "Never send that man to my house again."
Why?
And they said, "What? What? Is there something wrong?" He's too tall, and he didn't want to see him again because he's too tall.
Prince and his band.
It's a good
Yeah.
reason.
Well, Donald can tell us that Prince story again when he had him in the garage.
How
But yeah,
bizarre.
apparently he didn't like tall people, Noel Edmonds.
Really?
Because it made
Maybe
him
that
feel.
was why it was rude to me when I met him.
It probably is. It's
Yeah.
probably true.
Yeah. He was
It's
just
weird.
very odd. Just
Yeah.
very odd man.
Yeah.
I mean, and you know how it is when you meet these kind of people.
Yeah.
You either get a great vibe off them, but
Yeah.
I think it's very true. The ones you expect to be nice are always horrible, and the ones you expect to be horrible
Most of them are not very nice, are they?
No.
Most.
Simon Cowell's nice.
Simon's
Cowell's
lovely.
good, yeah. He's
Simon's
really
a
nice.
super nice
And you know
guy.
the thing about Simon,
Yeah.
he's always been really nice to Piers because Piers helped him out
Yeah.
back in the day. So when Piers got fired from the Mirror, he gave Piers his start in TV. He put him
Yeah.
on Britain's Got Talent, you know. Here's one from it's a super chat from Mick Rose. Morning, Mike, Pooch, and Charlotte, and Will. Wishing everyone a great day. Happy Friday.
Oh, thank you.
That's nice, isn't it?
Thanks, buddy. No abuse. That's
Andrew
good.
says he remembers Bruce's Price is Right.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. Play your cards right. Now that was
Play your
good.
cards
Higher,
right,
lower.
yeah.
Higher,
Big
higher.
break.
Yeah.
I see. I remember the two Ronnies. That's how old I am.
Oh, I remember two
They
Ronnies.
were great.
I remember Stanley Baxter.
Stanley Baxter, yes,
Yeah.
the Scotsman. Yeah, we were forced to watch that because my father was Scottish.
Oh, my
and
dad
so
loved that
We had to
too,
watch
yeah.
that. What the hell happened to British television? Says Joey. Yeah,
Exactly.
Well, now it's this.
It's gone.
It's the Mike
Yeah.
Graham show now.
Yeah.
This is the entertainment.
which
Michael
is
Barrymore as well.
yeah, well,
Oh,
Well, Michael, yeah.
it's a swimming pool joke there. So
I'm not going
I
there.
can't believe we
I'm
both
not
thought that
going
at the
there.
same time.
I used to like
He's in
him.
New Zealand as well.
Yeah.
Is he?
He was.
Right.
Yeah, I think he might come back.
Has he got a pool?
He's on TikTok. He's got a massive TikTok account.
Has he?
As he, excuse me.
What does he
Charlotte,
do?
he's
What
got
does
a
he
what?
do on TikTok? Eh?
He got, he goes
Swim
around
instructor.
doing bits. Yes.
Party planner.
100 things to do with a toilet brush. Sorry. That's too soon. Sorry.
Too soon.
Too soon.
Too
All right,
soon.
Okay.
Too soon. I like the generation game.
Yeah, that's Bruce. Well,
And with the conveyor belt, you remember?
Yeah.
Paul
You had to
O'Grady
remember
was a
everything.
great entertainer.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
showing my
see,
age now.
I was never a great big fan of Paul O'Grady, really.
Paul, no, nor was I.
I mean, I think,
Pony.
I mean, people said he was a nice guy, though.
Fine.
But I mean, I couldn't be
My
bothered with it.
postman's a nice guy.
Is he?
Yeah.
I haven't got a postman.
Oh, yeah.
The black and white minstrel show.
Charlotte, is that my time up now?
I once. Yeah, do you want? You just hang around if
Mike,
you want.
I've loved it. It's
Have you
been
got to
great.
go?
I'll see you soon.
All
No,
right.
I'm kidding.
You know, we went to see that. My parents took me to see the actual real thing
Yeah.
because it was on in it used to be on in Victoria.
Yeah, yeah.
They had a sort of a residence there, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
some place there. Yeah, it's funny. Jim will fix it. Yeah, I actually
Moving on.
when I worked in Scotland.
Good show, though.
Yeah, when I worked in Scotland, the newsreader, who was a girl called Gwen,
Yeah.
had done Jim will fix it, and she got to sit on Jimmy Savile's knee, and she told the story, and apparently he didn't do anything, which was even more surprising.
What 4 words don't you want to hear after sex? How's about that, then?
Is that technically not 5 words?
Yeah,
Eh?
about that. Then, no, technically not.
I suppose it's
No
not, is it?
apostrophize.
No, sorry, I've got that wrong again. He's always right, Pooch. It's really annoying.
I know, isn't he?
It's very annoying. Anyway, listen, that's the paper review for the morning. Anyway,
There wasn't really a great deal. There's a couple of
but
serious
we
things
haven't
in
done the
here.
Argentinian story.
We haven't done the Argentinian story.
Which is this is really lame. I think it's kind of embarrassing. Number
Go on.
10 came out and said that you might have beaten us at football, but we've still got the Falklands. I mean, that's really lame, isn't it?
But also, their leader turned around and said, and we could take it back whenever we want.
Yeah, the World Cup.
And sadly, without Maggie
the World
being
Cup
around,
might not
they
be
probably
ours,
might.
but the Falkland Islands definitely are. Our position is unchanged. Self-determination rests with the islanders, and our commitment to the Falklanders will never waver. A spokeswoman for the Prime Minister said. Well, how about the Chagos Islands?
Yes.
Why don't they say that about the Chagos Islands?
Yeah.
Which apparently old Burnham is going to give away.
Oh, well, that was kind of promised by Lang, wasn't it? And STARMER.
Well, apparently he's going to continue with the giveaway. He's not going to reverse it, which he should do.
Well, he should. Chagos Islands is actually a really important location for us.
It is.
It really is.
I don't understand what they're
and
so.
particularly with everything going on in the Middle East right now as well. Go on, what did you say?
My friend Cliff has sent me. Fat people call it bullfighter.
Target.
Brilliant. Premier League referee or linesman.
Linesman, definitely.
Trapeze artist. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Can you imagine? The trapeze artist spinning around and sort of flying off and killing people. Oh, man. Picture King Charles and his wife on the front. I can't get used to calling her the Queen, you know.
No, not me.
The Queen apparently turns 79 today.
Wow.
She looks good for it.
I can't call her the Queen. I don't want to. She's not the Queen.
She's not.
You know? Is
She's
she?
not. And she don't. I mean,
Queen
I don't know.
Elizabeth's
We
the
don't
Queen.
really get. She remains pretty private, actually. We don't really see much of her. Do
No.
we?
Well, she's in a pub here.
Wow.
And the Hall and Woodhouse Badger Brewery. Blandford Forum in Dorset. Very nice.
Nice to see Charles, the King doing something important.
Will they have around when they do
Oh,
stuff like that?
loads. I mean, they'd have had the advance team in to make sure it was all clear.
I meant to
They
ask
knew
you
exactly
actually,
who was going to be there.
since you're here, and we've
Yeah.
got Ralph Shawhammer to talk to in a second. He'll be back.
We love Ralph.
We do. This business of what Reform are saying, they want to get private security for every single MP. It's not doable, is it?
It's not doable. It's not doable. I mean, the bill
There aren't
itself,
enough people.
You've got, 650 MPs, and I think I did the numbers on it, and you'd be looking at about 350 to 400 million a year
Right.
to just cover the basics for
Right.
these guys. And so there's no
But I mean,
way,
how many? I mean, if
there's
you-
no way when we've lost all this money and been pledged to Ukraine
Right.
that we can
The
afford it.
Ukrainians have taken
Yeah.
it all. What? I mean, how many men would you need if you had to protect 650 MPs around the clock, 24/7?
I was never good at maths, but I'd say per
Thousands.
person, you're talking probably 8 guys. If
What,
you've
per-
got two guys on one principal,
Yeah.
and that's just the principal. That's not the rest of the family
Right,
and everything else.
right.
And that's not even covering. Yeah, it's not covering everything.
And
but I
two
think-
people can do
you're looking
24
at 8
hours.
people basically rotating.
Oh, 8 people
So you're
per
covering
person.
24 hours. Yeah.
So 8 times 650. How much
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah. A lot.
8 sixes, 48. It's about 5,000
I
people.
failed my maths.
It's about 5,000 people.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
All being paid at least
Can't be
50
done.
grand
Can't be done. But I totally
a year.
understand with Nigel paying
definitely.
for his own security.
But he's got his own security, but that's what he
Well,
needs the 5 million for.
Exactly. Because everybody else, I mean, you look at the process you have to go through to
Yeah.
get close protection as
Yeah.
an MP.
Right.
And when you look at the numbers of MPs that are receiving threats and the fact that those threats have increased threefold since 2019.
Yeah.
You're in a really difficult spot here because there are 4 different parliamentary and police departments
Yeah.
that you have to be processed through before you get to RAVEC.
Right, okay.
And then RAVEC will go yes or no.
Right, and RAVEC now can't possibly handle all of this. So
That'd be crazy.
when they're being spoken to by Nigel Farage and Shabana Mahmood, talking about whether or not all the reform guys can get cover, maybe they can because there's only 8 of them, but they can't do everybody.
Yeah,
you know.
I would be. I mean, I totally get why Nigel's personally financing it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
Then he's
'cause
not having to get approvals from a million people. I mean, look, they arrested that guy yesterday, didn't they, who made death threats against Nigel. And bearing in mind there's been 976 recorded crimes. That's only the recorded ones.
Yeah.
Remember, you were saying, I think, about Anne.
Yeah.
When she'd receive a death threat, she'd say, well, just put it in the bin.
Yeah.
You know, with the others.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's so many more that aren't being reported, but 976 criminal threats made to MPs in just this year.
I know.
Already.
It's shocking.
Yeah.
Absolutely shocking. A couple of you have noticed that the herons have disappeared.
Oh, yeah?
We've set them free.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, what happened there?
We put them back into the wild.
RSPCA got onto it.
Yeah.
did they?
We decided that...
RSPB.
yeah, where are the herons, says Lady K.
I was going to
B.
say, I didn't even notice that, yeah.
Yeah,
They've
so...
gone. Why?
Yeah, well, it's just it's a sort
Was
of...
it a thing?
It's just a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do love the picture of Anne up there.
The great thing about the herons is the herons... Oh, there you go. The thing about the herons is that they're all about a new beginning.
Yeah.
And so we're sort of moving on from the new beginning, because
Yes.
now we're not at the beginning anymore. We're sort of somewhere towards the middle. I don't know, are we?
Yeah, no, agreed.
I think that's right.
It's a
But they're
reset.
still here. They're still in the room.
They're with us.
They're still with us.
Yeah.
But a couple have been claimed by others. And we might actually auction them off, maybe, for
Yes, good
charity.
idea.
For charity?
Yeah.
Why not?
Fat people should be made to ski jump for TV.
I'm in for that.
I would watch
I've been
that.
watching that.
Do you remember Medical Grandstand? They used to do on 9 o'clock news.
Oh, yeah.
And they'd have people like coming down ski slopes and crashing, and cars crashing. It was really brilliant. Medical Grandstand.
I
they
don't
called it.
remember that.
Really
Yeah.
funny.
I don't remember that.
We need to see your posse, not just hear them. This is brilliant morning watching, says Sam. Well, it's better if you don't see them, though. I mean, you saw Pooch earlier, and you see Charlotte in the video from
Charlotte's
from
Charlotte's
CPAC.
looking beautiful as always.
But let's bring Ralph into the conversation, because Ralph Schulhammer is waiting patiently. I'm hoping. Ralph, have you
Hi,
got-
Mike.
hang
Good
on.
to talk to you.
This is Ralph Scheulhammer, and I'll be back.
Looking good there, man. Looking good.
This never gets old.
It never does. How are you?
Very good. How are you doing, Mike?
Yeah, very well. I had an interesting day yesterday. I was down at this thing called CPAC, down at sort of near Canary Wharf, where we talked to a lot of people, and one particular guy who was from Poland, talking to us about what was happening in Poland, what was happening in lots of countries in Europe now, where the governments are trying to clamp down on TV stations and journalists. And he said something extraordinary, that his channel, which has now become the #1 channel in Poland, I think it's called Republika TV. He said basically that they have had 8 of their journalists' homes invaded by the police, that the government is trying to stop them from broadcasting all the time, and it's a real fight to keep the kind of right, because it's a right-wing station effectively. And I wondered if this, he said it's happening in a lot of other countries in Europe. I mean, the governments which are left-wing and kind of globalist elite types are trying to shut down the media.
Oh yeah, no, and the thing is always these things start very small and then they get bigger. But that's I would say part of the strategy, because the small infringements don't really catch your eye, and then as they get bigger and bigger and bigger, right, you start to overlook it. I mean, I give you a concrete example. I mean, there's this whole debate within the European Union now about chat control, right? Can the European Union can providers read your messages? And the European Parliament said yes, right? In a very odd, and I think for the United Kingdom as the mother of parliaments, there's this weird rule. So that's one of the reasons why you should still be glad that you left the EU. So within the European Parliament, which is basically a rubber stamp institution for the European Commission, the European Council, but there's this weird thing: if they reject a law and then it is brought back onto the table for a second reading, the Parliament has to explicitly reject it. So if they bring it back in and a couple of deputies, MEPs are sick or cannot be present for whatever reason, not being present then counts as a yes vote. So if you strategically place a vote on a specific bill, a specific law, and on a day, for whatever reason, or at a time when many MPs are sick or abroad or whatever it is, right, you will get it through because there will not be enough people around to vote yes, and this is or to vote no. And this is what happened with this chat control thing, again, which is a tiny step into the direction where the government says, or the supranational government, whatever you want to call it, says, no, don't worry. If you haven't, this is the worst sentence for me in the English language. Don't fear the government if you have nothing to hide. Right. I find this is such a disturbing thing to say. Oh, don't worry if we read your emails and your text messages if you have nothing to hide.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, because that's the thing, isn't it? Because it's like once they start doing that, what becomes something that you want to hide? You know, what is it that they will then start prosecuting you for, or saying, you know, oh, what have you been doing there? Have you been buying something you shouldn't have been buying? Have you been paying no tax on something that you did? Have you been getting free stuff? You know, you don't want them inside your world.
Mike, what you just said is so important. So this for me, people always accuse me of nostalgia for the 19th century, which I do have, but I have a very simple reason. Because if you look at the things that happened, particularly in the UK and elsewhere, there was a tendency towards more liberty. There was a tendency towards more freedom. Again, if you would freeze it in time, you would say people were less free in, let's say in 1870 than they are in 2026. That is correct. But if you look at 1870 and then you go into the 20th century until the war years, but before that, before the great catastrophe of World War I, there was a tendency towards more free press, more newspapers, more opinions, more satire. I mean, this is why the great literature figures, both on the continent and the UK, right, why they come up during that time period. And now the tendency is in the other direction. It's just we're no longer climbing the hill up, we are climbing the hill down, even though we are, so to speak, from an observational perspective, we're still higher up, but we are going down. And back in the day, we were going up. The government, that's the key point here. The government in the 19th century was gradually trusting the population more, right? This is why you had the true liberal, not today's, you had the true liberals who said we are patriots, but we understand that we are also, responsible for ourselves. And the governments began to agree with it. Now it moves in the other direction. That basically the government is constantly suspicious of you. And what does this mean? You move from being in the 18th, 19th century, people moved from being subjects to being citizens. And now we're moving back from being citizens to being subjects. And that is a tendency I don't enjoy.
No, and I think the trouble is with the creeping kind of insurgence, if you like, of government into your life, it doesn't stop. It doesn't end. They want to know what you're doing. I mean, look at this business now of tracking cars, where they're talking about paying per mile when you drive your car. Not any longer just charging you a congestion charge or a ULEZ charge or something like that. But they're now saying, oh, by the way, if you've got an electric vehicle, when you travel abroad, if you go and take your car to Austria or you drive it to Spain, we want you to report how many miles you're doing so you can pay tax on it when you're not even in the country.
Yeah. No, it's and it's always in your interest, right? Somehow it's actually for you. This is good for you.
For your own good.
You just
That's
don't
what they
know
like to say. Yeah, for your own good, because it will keep you safe. It's a bit like the online safety bill. We don't want you to see things that you might not like. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty good at judging what I might not like myself, thank you. If I'm looking at something I don't like, I'll stop looking at it. But I still want to be able to look at it if I want to.
No, it's so frustrating, right? Because it's like a pincer movement.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, the states infantilize the population, right? So they make you less and less responsible for your own life. They offer you to take care of everything, because once they successfully infantilize you, then they can be this supposedly benevolent, patriarchic institution.
Yeah.
And again, this is a very worrisome trend. The idea was, when we talk about emancipation, we usually always think about feminism.
Right.
But one key element of emancipation was, of course, also the idea that the individual emancipates himself, or if we want to be politically correct, herself, from the state, from the government, from the monarch, right? You expect you respect authority, but you also know that this authority only exists because you agreed to it. I mean, this is the whole point of constitutional monarchy, right? Yes, there is a monarch, but they still have to be very careful and assure, right, that they do what they do with the agreement and the approval of the people. And I think this is where we're moving away. Ideally, let's be completely honest, what governments would like to do, they would like to outsource all the governing to some three-letter institutions that have zero democratic accountability, whether it's the EPA in the United States, and we have a couple on the continent, right, in form of the European Union, and I'm sure you have plenty in the United Kingdom as well. So all these three-letter institutions where people are nominated or assigned, and that you can never get out again. And this is, and of course, then the other thing is the NGO complex. So in a sense, right, governments try to outsource their minerals business, because what's the consequence of this? Elections no longer have consequences.
No.
Because if everything that matters is done by either an NGO or an unnamed or named yet unaccountable, government agency, it doesn't matter who's prime minister.
Well, here in this country, we've got a preponderance of quangos which get set up, and nobody really understands how they got set up, and nobody understands how much money. I looked into this, right, just by accident, and you might know about this one, Will.
Yeah.
It turns out it was a very simple story. Where I live in Sussex, there's some woods where I used to go and walk the dog, right? Suddenly, out of nowhere, they decided to start charging you to park for taking the dog to the woods, which they didn't used to do. It used to be a free car park. So I thought, well, this is a bit weird. And then they put a sign up to say, this is by order of the Forestry Commission. And I thought, okay, who's the Forestry Commission? So I looked into the Forestry Commission. Yeah, and the Forestry Commission is apparently an organisation which has been appointed by the government to run the forests of Britain, right?
Yeah.
It turns out they've got a budget of something like £500 million a year. They employ hundreds of people. They in turn are then in charge of the Woodland Trust or something like that, who are the people who actually then decided to start charging people to park. And once you look into these organisations, there's hundreds of millions of pounds going into them, right? Nobody really knows what they do. They're not really accountable to anybody. And when I looked up their sort of annual accounts, it said that they'd increased their staffing level by something like 55% in 3 years. And you're kind of going, what are you doing? The woods grow by themselves. You might have to send somebody to cut a couple of trees down once in a while, but why do you need £500 million a year? And similarly, yesterday, I got a note from my accountant saying, this is how much tax you have to pay this month. And I was like, why is it a lot more than it was last month? Oh, you've got a new tax code. I'm like, from where? And apparently the Inland Revenue, HMRC, have issued a new tax code to me, which effectively means that I have to pay about 75% more tax. And I'm like, well, when did that happen? So I'm now having to go and fight that and go, well, why have you done that? But all of this automatic sort of, stuff that you're not supposed to complain about is happening all the time.
Oh yeah, and if trees would grow as quickly as the bureaucracy, Britain would be covered in trees from coast to coast. And this is the trick. When you and I and Will, when we criticize, for example, government overreach or government waste, then the counter argument is always, you don't like the police, you don't like streets, you don't like infrastructure. But then, as you said, if you then look actually where the money is going, the actual amount that goes to streets and infrastructure, and we have the same story all over Europe, including the UK. Try to build a new railroad, high-speed rail. I mean, usually these things cost millions and never get out of the planning phase.
Right.
I'm always wondering, and this is that I do have nostalgia. Under current conditions, even given today's technology, the kind of railway nets that Europe enjoys would not be possible to build. Because there would always be some tree or some sloth hanging from a tree or some, I don't know, some mosquito flying somewhere or some environmental group or some government agency that has to consult with another government agency, which then has to talk to yet another government agency. And before you know it, it's the year 2026 and there wouldn't be a single piece of rail being laid. Somehow we did things better in the 19th century. I mean, if your viewers are bored, I really recommend look at landmark buildings in London, look at landmark infrastructure projects from the past, and look at the amount of time it took to build them.
Yes.
You'll be blown away how quickly we built amazing things. And by the way, they are still standing. That's the great thing. Like, people say, back in the day it wasn't safe, it wasn't secure. Really? I mean, look at the skyline of London, look at the entire infrastructure of London. 90% of it were built under these so-called unsafe conditions.
Of course. Absolutely right. And you're right to talk about railways, because we had that problem with HS2, didn't we? And the bats.
Still do.
They discovered they've spent something like 100 billion on HS2, which is supposed to be a high-speed train that runs from London to Manchester, right? They've now abandoned taking it to Manchester. It's only going to run to Birmingham. But they've managed to spend £100 billion without having any track or any trains. And so what they've done is they've just spent it all on buying land and purchasing houses that was in the way of it and clearing a load of space. And then they had a problem with the bats, didn't they? And they had to build a bat tunnel in order to safeguard the bats who were apparently not happy about the fact that there might be a train going nearby. It's like, what are we running, Great Britain's bats organisation? It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And the point is always infrastructure and the human living conditions are always wrestled from nature. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I want to plaster everything with concrete, but this is just the deal that we made. If you build a city, yes, then certain parts of nature will be replaced, which then you might save in other areas, national parks, right? All these kind of things. So nobody says that everything needs to be plastered with concrete and railways. But at least if you plan to do something, then do it. I mean, it's the same in the United States. California gave us all these supposedly great tech innovations, and some of them are pretty cool, but they cannot build a railway between San Francisco and Los Angeles.
No. No,
Or
absolutely right.
it's
And
completely ridiculous.
the other thing, of course, is that despite the fact that we are supposedly one of the most foremost thinking Western democracies and supposedly more efficient than we used to be, we can't seemingly do anything at all. I mean, that's the problem in Britain. Certainly, I don't know what it's like in the rest of Europe. But every single infrastructure that we try to build comes in at about 10 times the amount of money. I mean, the Scottish Parliament, for example, is one example. They were going to build that for £40 million. It ended up costing 400 million, to the factor of 10. So they can't even get that right.
Oh, that's everywhere. Like everything nowadays takes longer and ultimately is more expensive. Whereas I said, my favorite example is always the Hoover Dam in the United States, which came in sooner than expected and under budget. I mean, it is, if you look back historically, what a great civilization we were. And I mean, basically the entire West. I mean, from London to the New York skyline, to the city of Vienna, to the city of Paris, right? The Eiffel Tower, pretty much all of this was like an 18th, 19th century accomplishment. And as I said, I'm from today's perspective, there's a lot that we probably find wanting when we look back to those societies. But when it was about doing things, getting things done, being artistically, culturally, intellectually active, because you mentioned the great thinking stuff, I think we had many more impressive thinkers, I'm sorry, in the 19th century than we do today. There are still a few, don't get me wrong, but
there's not many.
Kind of intellectual exchange, the kind of intellectual ideas that were some of them very dangerous. A lot of this was also problematic, but that's just being part of an energized society. And this is the thing, we are no longer an energized society. It's like we can't get anything done anymore. It is so frustrating. It's demoralizing.
It really is. It's very frustrating. And I mean, I don't have any faith in it getting any better anytime soon because it appears to be getting worse.
But that would be my campaign, right? If I would be Rupert Lowe, and the same with Nigel Farage, I think they have to make their proposal broader. We all agree and get the migration part, but I think they also have to say, this is like Brexit. Once we got the migration issue solved, which I hope they will and that they can, but here is the other thing now. So to speak, when we say that this is the one thing that ails the body politic the most, so once you get rid of the major problem, what's then the therapy to get powerful again and say we will get things done, we will build roads again and bridges, and we will build them under time and under budget. We will show it that what Britain could do once, it can do it again. It is completely absurd to honestly claim that something we could do in the 1970s, keyword nuclear power plants, we can no longer do in 2026. I mean, no person in their right mind should believe that. And if the government wants you to believe it, they lie to you.
Exactly.
Or they don't know better and they're incompetent. But whichever it is, both of it means that they are not they're not competent enough. They shouldn't be where they are.
Well, this is it. Into the countryside, you see those amazing aqueducts that they used to build for the canals and viaducts that they would build for railway lines and stuff like that. I can't imagine them ever doing that now.
The English garden is a synonym for civilization.
Yes.
So again, it's always very, very exhausting for me that you need an Austrian guy telling you how great you are. But here we are, right? I mean, this is what Britain did in many ways, right? I mean, it was transforming nature in many ways, in many areas, into something even more beautiful and even more functional. Like this idea that beauty can only be found in untouched nature, I think is a very civilization hostile perspective. As I said before, I don't think that every piece of land needs to be exposed to the machinations of men. But overall, right, a beautifully tended English garden, a beautifully tended English countryside is something, that if that doesn't give you goosebumps or gives you a sense of beauty, I don't know what will.
I know, absolutely right. Ralph, great to see you as ever.
Thank you, Mike.
Much common sense.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Will.
Thanks. Good to see you. And you'll be back, of course, won't you?
I will be back next Friday.
Brilliant stuff. Will Getty's still here. We didn't get any news in the first hour, did we? So Fiona's just arrived. Hello, Fiona. How are you? Nice to see you. We ran into her at CPAC yesterday, and we'll find out what's going on in her world. Coming up, though, we need Fiona McLeod, I think, for a Friday news show, don't we?
Hi there. Fiona McLeod here with your Friday news bulletin. Andy Burnham takes centre stage today as the new Labour leader and incoming Prime Minister. He's promising to fix the big things, empower communities and spread growth everywhere. Because obviously Britain's problems will melt away under more of that trademark Manchester managerialism, especially with chatter about controversial Chancellor choices. Keir Starmer's classy exit, handing out peerages like sweets, including a nice seat in the Lords for Sadiq Khan. Rewards for a job, well, done-ish. Classic. Post-World Cup, number 10 declares the Falkland Islands definitely British after Argentina's victory. Glad they've woken up to that one. Meanwhile, the heat wave drags on with hosepipe bans and wildfire alerts. Please remember to like and subscribe. See you later, alligators.
From yesterday. Fiona, thank you very much indeed. Fiona McLeod there with the news on the Friday. Will Getty's still here with us. It's interesting what Ralph was saying about the superstructure, the infrastructure of the country, and how, because it does seem to be really, really hard to get anything done in this country now.
I think half the problem with that, Mike, and I mean, one of the privileges of the work that I get to do is I get to meet some really interesting people, and particularly at sort of very, very sort of uber levels in terms of being billionaires and industrialists and God knows what. And I remember talking to one of them once upon a time and saying, okay, talk to me about the corruption of government. Yeah. And they said, there are 3 countries in Europe which are the most corrupt. Okay. Italy, France, and the UK. Really? Yeah. The UK? In terms of obviously the lobbying that goes on for various different developments. And like you said about the Scottish Parliament, that was 40 million and then went to 400 million. Yeah. Where are the controls there? And what, and what audited accounts, like the Forestry Commission, who is able to be able to impartially look at those audited accounts and go, okay, where has this money gone? Where are the control barriers in place? Because it's no different to say, so you getting someone in to do some work or refurb on your home. Right. You're going to agree the figure with the builder, and there's going to be probably a 30% slippage in terms of, if it's significant work, in terms of the time and possibly the cost as well. But it might end up costing more and taking longer. Exactly. But again, it doesn't. I mean, I told this story the other day. But you're also going to be pulling them in and making them accountable and saying, hey, guys, I didn't budget in the private sector, but not necessarily in the public sector, because I was talking to a guy. But that's the private sector abusing the public sector. Yes, and there are lots of companies, for example, who only operate kind of in a sort of netherworld between the two, where most of their contracts are with the public sector. For example, I don't know if you saw, when we were at the height of all the anti-Nigel Farage reform stuff, about all the funding and Posh George and all of that, right? I know. Calling kettle black. Well, there's 20 major donors to the Labour Party, right? Yes. Who gave a bunch of money to the Labour Party before the election in 2024, all of whom are now the recipients of multi-million pound contracts from the government. Yeah. And the amounts of money are not in any way comparable. Say, for example, you've got, somebody, I think Microsoft gave 30,000 quid to Labour, right? But what they got out of it was something like 100 million or maybe... In contracts, in contracts. Yeah. And you think, well, that's not really compatible, is it? I mean, But it's also, it swings and roundabouts. So like the advanced data protection, which was removed from Apple by the UK, if you remember, at the beginning of last year. Right. So they wanted to sort of unencrypt iCloud data. Right. So the argument was law enforcement could then obviously investigate you and everything else. Now, encryption still works on iMessage. It still works on FaceTime, but everything else, if they want to go into your iCloud, and it's a bit like, I can't remember the name of the individual who lost it, McSweeney, who lost his phone. And they went, we can't pick up on... Well, he says he lost it. I mean, nobody's actually ever proven... Well, nobody's ever proved that he lost it. Nobody's ever proved that he had it stolen. Exactly. Remember the police were going to try and find the CCTV? You can retrieve those messages. Well, of course you can. Yeah. But the CCTV footage was supposed to be being obtained by the police, and we've never heard anything about it. It's all disappeared, hasn't it? And again, nobody's asking the question. The only thing I saw about McSweeney the other day was that he's earning 25 grand a pop for doing after dinner speaking, right? So great news for him. But how about this, right? Because we talk about overreach of government. Yes. Again, there's something called Natural England, which is an offshoot of DEFRA. Okay. It's another quango that got set up. These were the people who wanted to kill off all the Dartmoor horses, remember? Yes. Because they thought it was better to kind of, completely like sweep the place clean. They've also come out with some plan where they wanted to make it more difficult for landowners to shoot pheasants, right? And they've just been rebuked by a judge because a crackdown on pheasant shooting has been overturned by the High Court, with a judge branding the Green Quango Natural England irrational, because what they were trying to do was make it more difficult for people to release game birds on their land. Yeah. Without getting a license to do it, which would have slowed the whole thing up. Yeah. And which would, again, you'd end up, we used to have pheasants wandering around
in the garden.
All the time. You drive through the country.
And if you don't shoot them, there's going to be loads of them. Now, I'm not saying that, and of course people shoot them to eat them as well. It's not just shooting them. But the point is it's more and more government quango overreach where they're trying to tell you what you can and can't do.
Absolutely.
And that's not their job. You know, I don't elect people to run the country in order to be told how to
and
live.
Then restrict you to how you're going to live.
Run the bloody economy.
Ziggy and wherever.
Run the economy reasonably sensibly. Make sure that you're not wasting loads of my taxpayer money on loads of ridiculous things, like, for example, 60 million quid wasted on migrants, which is apparently one of the stories we've got today. And just run the country as if you were running an organisation and run it effectively and successfully and well.
Again, this comes back to the point that Nigel's always made, and that is there are no business people in government, so they have no concept of how to run a business, how to balance the books, how to make sure that the profit and losses are obviously auditable, and you can ultimately put the controls in place. It's like kids in the candy store who are basically going, oh, well, let's do this today, and I'll get invited to this great party, and I'll get a deal off the back end. I think COVID was probably one of the best exposures of just the inappropriate awarding of contracts.
Well, that story this
lack
week
of any sort of accountability.
Yeah, the story this week: £10 billion wasted on PPE, right? Which turned out mostly not to work, which wasn't actually good PPE at all.
No,
and one of the
or you were a landlord in a
one
pub
of the recipients
and you got a
of the money,
£200 million contract.
Yeah, and one of the recipients of the money, of course, your old mate Michelle Moan,
my old buddy,
who's still trying to pay it back, I believe. So how about this, right? The Home Office squandered cash on refunds, right? Tens of millions of taxpayers' money has been wasted due to blunders over migrant schemes. Officials gave incorrect refunds totaling at least £18.7 million to migrants who had paid a surcharge towards the NHS. What the hell's going on? And it says foreign nationals were reimbursed with too much money. Why are they getting reimbursed? So, all right, come to Britain. We'll give you some food. We'll give you a hotel. Give you a blanket. Give you a mobile phone. And we'll give you some money because you might have had to pay something to use the NHS. What on earth is going on?
Most of them were fast-tracked in, or they have dental care in the asylum hotels.
But, I mean,
anyway.
again, how can you be this useless? In a further gaffe, the Home Office spent £22.9 million on an asylum hotel that was never used. Huh?
It's infuriating.
I mean, it's not like 22 quid. 22 million quid.
Yeah. And like you were saying a little earlier, and what a surprise, some hike in your tax rating has now come into effect.
So how about this, right? The department signed a 9-month contract on the Atrium Hotel in Hounslow, West London, in August 2025. It said the hotel was paid for to meet an expected surge in asylum demand that would have led the Manston Small Boat Migrant Processing Centre in Kent to fail its legal operational standards, but then they never used it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is ridiculous.
So, okay, how about sticking a whole bunch of UK veterans in there, homeless veterans? Would that be an idea?
Yeah, I think that would be an idea.
It's just, there's zero contingency planning. It's like, right, let's throw all this money at this particular project, but what happens if it goes wrong? What happens if we can't utilise it?
Here's what happens.
Someone's making some big money.
Here's what happens when it goes wrong, right?
Yeah, go on.
You'll like this one. Labour's small boat Supremo. Do you remember him? The guy that was brought in to stop the small boats.
The Tsar.
He was paid, wait for it, £260,000 last year, including £51,000 in lieu of notice when he departed in March after being in the job for just 18 months. What?
Nice work if you can get it.
Yeah. The Border Security Commander's package also included a buyout of annual leave at £6,754. Keir Starmer appointed the ex-police officer shortly after becoming Prime Minister, tasking him with curbing small boat crossings in the Channel, but last year saw the second highest annual total of migrants
he did an awesome job, didn't he? Yeah.
I mean, it's literally
just baffling.
It's criminal what's going on.
You see, I think that's exactly the point. It's a lovely mix of incompetence and criminality.
Yes.
I think that's the only way you can justify it. And I think it really comes down to many of these entities or these businesses or these ventures. It comes down to someone's lining their pockets royally in the background.
I know.
It's infuriating because it only just cascades and ripples over to us, the taxpayer. And I'm doing my tax returns at the moment, and it's making my eyes water.
I know. It's like, how much more do you want to take from me? It's like to get to the point.
And
where
what am I getting in return?
Yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
Well, you're giving it all to the migrants, apparently. They're wasting it 22 million. I mean, Jesus. I think Philip Kisley's here, is he?
Yes.
He is. Philip, very good morning to you, sir.
Hi, mate. How you doing? Okay.
Well, I was doing better before I discovered this waste of money that I've found on page 10 of the Daily Mail. I don't know if you've seen this story, which I've just been talking about. They've given refunds worth £18.7 million. Refunds to migrants who apparently are forced to pay a fee, £1,000 annually for each year of their visa. Students and children apparently charged 776 quid. But apparently we've reimbursed them so that's not actually something they pay at all. And we've not only reimbursed them, we've given them extra money to be here. Marvellous, isn't it?
Well, I was just listening to the conversation then, and I was wiping tears away from my eyes, basically.
Yeah.
There's one of the phrases that you used there that was from them is called migrant demand.
Yes.
That really sums up their attitude to immigration, mass immigration, and where we stand in relation to the threat that poses. They are thinking about it in terms of business. They are thinking about it in terms of opportunity for just a very few people to make money out of this scam. They don't think of dangers. They don't think about the headlines every day that we of rape and murder and utter mayhem. So it's chaotic. It's completely chaotic, but it's also it's the worst possible combination, right? It's chaotic and financially opportunistic. And I was yesterday talking about waste, but also talking about how terrible this kind of stuff looks for the future. I don't know whether you saw the story about the Gazan woman who has just won a human rights case to bring 18 of her relatives over to this country. Now, if that is going to set a precedent, so we can look forward now to having thousands of families from Gaza, empathic society on earth, a society that prizes killing Jews before the lives of its own children, the ultimate victimhood society, literally transplanting that into this country. So it's about waste, and it's eye-watering and it's shocking. It's about cost. But I think the societal cost in terms of safety and in terms of changing our society, if we have a way from Gaza, is just going to be extraordinary.
Well, I mean, this is seemingly the new kind of population problem, isn't it? Because it's not just that you're marking the numbers of people coming in, because what they're not doing is marking the numbers of people coming with them. Right? No. So as far as the stats go, they'll probably say, oh, okay, we've decided to import 400 students from Gaza so they can come and study here because it's better for them to live in this lovely, beautiful. I think, in fact, it's probably safer in Gaza, to be honest, in some parts of London, but it doesn't tell you that they're bringing 15 to 18 members of their own family with them. And you kind of go, where are all these people going? And what are they doing? And how are they going to live?
Yeah, they're going to working class communities who don't want them. There's always this mantra, isn't it, that these middle class, chattering class idiots, often women actually, use, and it's, migrants welcome here. They don't mean welcome here in their own little community, often, and very affluent. They mean welcome there in class places that have already been decimated. I was just thinking, just while you were talking about this, all sorts of stuff was just going through my mind. I was thinking about Andy Burnham as well, and the cost that we've got to, the debt that we've got to look forward to. My God, we're in enough debt already, but we will not handle it with him in charge, because he wants to make things more labour, more tax and spend, more chaotic. And I was thinking, he wants to give power to communities, his devolution drive. What does that mean, Andy? What communities are we talking about here? Are we giving power to communities in Birmingham, Batley, Dewsbury, Oldham, Rochdale, places like those? I don't want community leaders to have power in those places. They've had enough power over the last 30 years, because devolution comes with a whole load of stuff, baggage, cultural baggage, doesn't it? So you have to think very, very carefully about what you're doing and what you're giving away. He had a side swipe, didn't he, at Thatcher, Mrs. Thatcher, saying, everything was centralised in the 1980s and that's where it went wrong. No, Andy, it didn't go wrong in the 1980s. It went wrong in 1997 with a man called Blair. That's when it went wrong. All of this stuff that we're suffering from now, this terrible, terrible threat that hangs over our head and that we deal with every day, actually, it comes from Tony Blair. So all of these things are connected. And I'm just reading these stories this week, and I'm not joking. I just feel, oh God, well, where do we go from here? Families from Gaza, for God's sake.
I know. But also, when they talk about giving power, they actually mean giving money, don't they? They actually mean, let's set up another kind of outpouring of finance whereby we can basically pretend that we're investing in a place, which actually means let's give some taxpayers' money away so that people who don't have any kind of entrepreneurial spirit or any kind of ability to actually generate wealth or money can just be given free money. And that's what the government, and particularly Andy Burnham, seems to want to do, because his track record in Manchester is one of running the place into the ground. I think they've got something like a £1.6 billion deficit in the amount of money that they owe and the amount of money that they don't have, if you like.
Yeah, it's first of all, it's about responsibility, isn't it? It's about being able to handle money and knowing what money represents and what its potential for good. They hate money because they don't understand what money is.
Right.
And if you hate money, but all you want to do is abuse it, then you are the very last person anywhere near any kind of power. And, Andy Burnham's track record, as we've seen this week, is just utterly appalling. And and as you know, I'm from Manchester. I don't want to go on about Manchester because I want to move the story away from Manchester because it's meaningless. His Manchesterism is utterly meaningless. But if you look beyond the city centre, the surrounding areas are just decimated with one or two exceptions. So if you're looking at Manchesterism and the horror story actually that is Manchesterism, all you have to do is walk through the city centre at any point in the evening. Then if we're transplanting that onto a national level, then again we are in trouble. But we're in trouble anyway, Mike, because that's what it is. That's what we see. I don't know if you've been to Birmingham lately, but walking through the centre of Birmingham of an is a fairly sobering experience. And it just feels that these people, again, it comes back to this idea of opportunism, doesn't it? It's short-term opportunism. The Labour Party will say, oh, yes, we've got this money. It's here to spend. Everything's going to be wonderful. Life is going to be brilliant for you until it runs out. And then you find out that it's borrowed anyway and that you've got the next 30 years of paying it back. But you can't do that anyway. So inflation is going to rise and cost of living in terms of your quality of life is going to plummet. And that's where we are now. It just doesn't stop. It's just misery after misery after misery with these people, and I'm just incredibly worried about it. I'm sorry to come on and be such a doom and gloom merchant here. I do this every week, don't I? I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. We're having some fun earlier. It's good to take us down a notch or two. It's all right. We can't be happy all the time, Philip.
You were laughing before. I'll make damn sure you don't laugh now. How about that?
I mean, the point is that I had Jack Posobiec in here yesterday from the States, and I said, when were you last in London? And he said, about 5 or 6 years ago, and he's brought his family over. And I said, what do you make of it now? And he's like, I don't recognise it from 5 years ago. He said, it's really, really changed. And he said, just walking around the tourist spots, he says, you don't hear very many people speaking English, which is really true and strange because, it's always been a very multicultural city. It's always been a very international city. I get all that. But it's now become almost a foreign city. And I was talking to somebody at CPAC yesterday who was recently in Paris, and they said the same about Paris, that these cities in Europe now have been changed completely so that they're no longer recognisable.
Yeah, and with that comes an element of danger, doesn't it? I know exactly what you mean. I spend quite a lot of time in London myself, obviously, because I work there, and there is centre. But I go all over the country because I talk in all towns and cities because I lead New Culture Forum Locals, which some viewers might be a member of. And it just feels that the whole taste of and the sentiment in our cities, towns and cities has changed. They are very different to the rest of the country. And if you want a kind of a look ahead, a crystal ball, if you want, into what this country will be like, we already know it's running along sectarian lines at the moment, but there will be a very different Britain in the towns and cities to Britain in the rural areas and the smaller towns. So I think there's going to be a divide there, and people with any money, any sense, and any kind of desire for a safe future for their children will move out of towns and cities. Now, that's going to have all of this stuff has a knock-on effect. So economically, that's going to be devastating for us as well. Lots of people, again, will just simply leave the country as well. So that is arise, and I'm having conversations with lots of people who are saying, well, it's getting crazy. I don't know what it's going to be like in 10 years time. I don't think I'll be here, especially Jewish people. So there is all of those things there. So we really need to think very carefully about what we want for the future of this country. And the sense of fight back needs to be on all of those lines. We need to understand the patterns that are emerging at the moment and say, well, if we want a change, then we probably need to, fight for the towns and cities. That's probably a big deal. So we need deep kind of local government there who are going to change policies and push back against Manchesterism and Burnham and all of that kind of thing. So we need to think very, very strategically. And again, this is about voting. This is about government. This is particularly about local government, and this is about culture in particular areas. So that, if there's a positive message, I want that to be a positive message. You've got to get involved. You've got to participate. This is where it's at.
Well, true. But I mean, you're from the Manchester area, roughly, aren't you? I mean, what is Manchesterism to you? What do you think they mean by that? Because I don't think they know what they mean by that.
I've got no idea. It doesn't make any sense. It's just a stupid gimmick from the one Labour politician who isn't absolutely loathed and despised by the whole country. That's essentially what it is, and that's why they've got Burnham, right? He's the only that everybody doesn't hate. So, that's not
yet, but I think we will grow to hate him quite quickly.
Well, I think we're learning to hate him. We're getting the habit very, very quickly, and I'm delighted that we are, because this is just a charlatan. These are all gimmicks. This is just this is media. Obviously, you and I are very well versed in media, and I look at everything he says. Oh right, that's just another gimmick. That's just another headline.
Well, who does an interview? I mean, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, right, does an interview with Gary Lineker, former host of Match of the Day, who, when he says, by the way, what are you going to do about the genocide in Gaza, he doesn't correct him. He doesn't say what he should have said, which is actually the International Court of Human Rights does not say there's a genocide. In fact, they say specifically there is not a genocide in Gaza. So before we go on, let me answer that question in a different way. He just immediately just answered the question with not an answer, by the way, but he didn't contradict him.
No, and that's extremely worrying, to put it mildly. But the fact that he went on and agreed to talk to someone who's shared anti-Semitic material before, who left the BBC around a whole kind of fuss anti-Semitism, would he have done the same thing with someone who'd shared Islamophobic, in quotation marks, Islamophobic material? No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't have anywhere near that person, and he would have probably outrightly condemned them because they are desperate for the Muslim vote. So there is here is two-tier everything, isn't it? It's certain kinds of racism are okay, and we are moving towards this. It was the old joke. I was watching the football at weekend, and it's the old, I can't remember who the comedian was by, and he was saying, there's a potential for the first Muslim country to win the World Cup here. Come on, England, that kind of. But of course we didn't. It all went to hell. But there is a sense that things are changing at such a rate. Culturally, we can't keep up with it. We can't.
Right.
And in terms of how we deal ethically and morally, we can't keep up with it. So that's a really good example of the Prime Minister just eschewing the values that have always been central to this country, which is we don't stand for racism. I'm talking about proper racism here. I'm talking about the real thing, not just the idea of nonsense that the left spout all the time as wielding power. And that is a really good example. That's essentially the Islamism of the country right there working for you.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, you haven't completely depressed me, I have to say. How soon before do you think the shine comes off Burnham? I think it's a couple of weeks.
Well, yeah, can I just cheer everybody up? I think it's going to be really, really soon. I think he's going to do something where people are just going to think, oh my God, not only are we in the same boat, we're out of the fire, and any other cliche I can summon up at this time in the morning, right? He's gonna be a laughing stock, and I think we have to go through this. This is the dying kind of end of an era, isn't it? And we have to go through this pain. But I think it's going to move very, very quickly. He's just going to be very obviously not fit for purpose. I mean, as a politician, he's very similar to that guy. Some viewers might know. Is he called Gary Economics? Is he called Gary?
Yeah, Gary Stevenson, who's being found out at 100 miles an hour every single day now passes.
And that's that's happened, very entertainingly and very satisfying on social media. That is going to happen. Burnham is going to be found out. The only reason he's not found out at the moment is because people have their head in the sand. They don't want to know yet, because they know what's.
But he also hasn't had to do anything yet. And as soon as he has to make a decision, he'll make the wrong decision, and that'll be the end of him. As far as I know.
I'm just thinking about where we are. This man wasn't even in Parliament a few months ago. And now he has no mandate. Nobody really wants him there, apart from a few people in Macon. It's ridiculous. It's utterly insane. So I think good news, right? Good news. I'm gonna be bright and cheery here. Yeah. The good news is that he's going to be really soon, and I think things are going to change. We're coming to the end of this horrible liberal era. It's not liberal, is it? It's illiberal. But we're coming
totally illiberal. Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely right. Absolutely right. And funnily enough, we were having these conversations at CPAC yesterday, and we'll have more of them today. Philip, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Have a great weekend. Philip Kisley there giving us his slightly doom-laden view of the world. But don't worry, it's not going to be all that bad, because once they find out what Andy Burnham really is about, people will suddenly think, actually, maybe this entire Labour project is completely for the birds, and we might as well just dump all of it. Press like, everyone, please, says RMF. Thanks, Philip. Yeah, please do like the channel, because the more you like it, the better it gets. And also, please subscribe to the channel as well. It doesn't cost you any money at all. And the more people who subscribe, we're up to 171,000, I think, today. And nearly 31 million views. So if you can do that, that would be marvellous, because the more likes we get and the more subscribers we get, the better the algorithm gets, and the more people then get to see the show. And we're already really doing well, but we just want to do better. So thank you very much indeed. Coming up, we're going to be talking to another guest here on the show, Maeve Halligan, who's joining us from Cambridge University, believe it or not. And we'll play a little video of what she's been getting up to recently. And also, coming up, of course, we've got the Bish, who's going to be joining us, Bishop Kai Dewar, in due course. And then Plank of the Week towards the end of the show as well, in the company of Mark Littlewood, and Paul Cox, I think, is doing it as well. Right now, though, it's time for some news with Fiona McLeod.
Hi there, Fiona McLeod here with your Friday News Bulletin. Andy Burnham takes centre stage today as the new Labour leader and incoming Prime Minister. He's promising to fix the big things, empower communities and spread growth everywhere. Because obviously Britain's problems will melt away under more of that trademark Manchester managerialism, especially with chatter about controversial Chancellor choices. Keir Starmer's classy exit, handing out peerages like sweets, including a nice seat in the Lords for Sadiq Khan, Rewards for a job, well, done-ish. Classic. Post-World Cup, number 10 declares the Falkland Islands definitely British after Argentina's victory. Glad they've woken up to that one. Meanwhile, the heat wave drags on with hosepipe bans and wildfire alerts. Please remember to like and subscribe. See you later, alligators.
Thank you very much indeed, Fiona McLeod there with the news, as it always is on a Friday. Coming up right now, though, we're going to talk to Maeve Halligan. And before we do that, let's have a look at the little clip we have from a speech she made up at Cambridge University.
Thank you, and thank you very much for having me to speak. You may have spoken here many, many times. This will be my first and my last. I'm only at this university for a year, and just to introduce myself again, I'm the founding president of the Cambridge University Society of Women. That's a big part of how I decided to spend my time here. So, thank you very much for the previous speeches. I'd like to open by saying that somewhere along the way, recently, the movement that fought for gay liberation decided that gay people were the problem. Now, I'm not here to tell you that the original struggle for gay and lesbian rights was misguided. It wasn't. I'm not here to tell you that progress hasn't been made. Happily, it absolutely has. I am here to tell you, though, that the activist movement that was built to protect gay and lesbian people has, in significant and measurable ways, and as my friend and co-founder just elucidated, it has abandoned gay, lesbian and bisexual people. And those paying the highest price for that abandonment are increasingly also children. After founding the society, I've been shouted at in the street, dubbed a fascist, spat at, insulted for how I look, contacted online with rape and death threats. You talk about hatred, I can tell you all about it. A woman trying to assert her sex-based rights and those of her peers gets abused for doing so. This is one of the many horrifically logical impacts, conclusions of modern LGBTQ+ activism, a movement that has lost its way at best. Here's something that shouldn't be controversial. The Equality Act says that sexual orientation means attraction to the same sex, the opposite sex, or both. The UK Supreme Court ruled last April that sex means biological sex. That's the law. It also happens to be the science. As my fellow speaker said earlier, same-sex attraction is about the reality that our bodies come in two types, whether you like it or not. Male and female, and modern LGBTQ+ activism has spent the better part of a decade now, let's be honest, trying to erase that fact, because if sex is real and is immutable, a whole lot of what they've been doing falls apart. Inconvenient, isn't it? I'm going to make some progress first, thank you. The focus and the...
It doesn't sound controversial to me. Maeve, very good morning to you. Nice to see you. It's mad, isn't it, that you have to say those things out loud and listen to those things being said and kind of go, why would anybody disagree with any of that? Because it's just, as you say, not only is the biological sex argument the law, but it's also the science. Mm-hmm. So how have we got to this place where people are not just disputing it, but violently disputing it?
Well, all the trans stuff has been going on for a really long time now. I don't know about you, but I'm really bored of it. I'm really tired of it. So in its current iteration, I'd say it started in about 2015, but then it really got a lot stronger around the time of all the COVID lockdowns, partly because you had a lot of young people, you know, in their house on TikTok every day. And this is an ideology and it, you know, captures people's minds. I personally did think that last year, as I mentioned in the speech, when the UK Supreme Court did rule, you know, woman means woman, shocker, it was just a clarification. I thought that that was, you know, the beginning of the end. But as it stands, there are still crazy people in our institutions who are absolutely still peddling these lies, and it endangers children, it endangers lesbian, gay and bisexual people, and it massively endangers women. I hate that this is the case, but it poses such a huge threat to those groups who are vulnerable to begin with.
Yeah, and I'm amazed really that because it has been made the law, and even, you know, even Keir Starmer recognised it, you know, he had to be told it without knowing it beforehand. And even the Prime Minister saying it doesn't appear to have changed the minds of people running institutions. I mean, I'm surprised at how many hospitals, for example, are refusing to follow the law, and they're still allowing trans women into female wards. They're still allowing trans women to change in women's changing rooms when they've specifically asked them not to. And I see that in that case in Darlington, I think it's costing the taxpayer some ridiculous amount of money in compensation to pay those nurses who did such a brilliant job of fighting for their own cause. And I don't understand how you make, if you can't make people obey the law, what's the point of the law?
Well, this is the thing, we're at a really crucial moment because, look, the fact that the Supreme Court, so, you know, the clue's in the name, this is the highest court in our country, people are still consciously disobeying that ruling and, in fact, calling it unlawful, which is obviously extremely ironic. So they're still disobeying it, and every single day that happens, it's undermining, the entirety of the law in the first place.
Well, because, you know, say I don't particularly like the speeding laws, so I'll just break them, and then I won't pay a fine, and I'll just go, no, I don't recognise your law. I'm just going to live the way I want to live.
Exactly, it could be anarchy. And also, this is what I mean, that there are direct everyday impacts of this for women, for lesbian, gay people, but children as well. I think that, you know, these are the most vulnerable people in our society because they're young and they can't necessarily make decisions for themselves when it comes to life-changing, you know, drugs, surgery, these cross-sex hormones and stuff. This will, if you take those, it's the reality for the rest of your life. Even if trans goes away tomorrow, which is the dream, that's not going to be the case for somebody who's had a double mastectomy, you know, a young woman. This is her reality for the rest of her life. So every single person that transitions, in my view, you know, this is a problem because they can't necessarily reverse that decision later on in their life.
No, of course.
It's dangerous.
And is there any research done on sort of, you know, you mentioned how it started to kind of take off in a massive way during COVID, and that's a kind of generational thing in a way, isn't it, where people who were doing that perhaps in COVID times are now in their sort of mid to late 20s. Is there any evidence that that's slowing down, or is it still as bad as it was then?
No, so I would say transsexualism, as it used to be called, has existed for a fair while, but it used to be a kind of quite strange fringe thing. Very rarely was it associated so directly with, for example, being gay or lesbian. It was sort of lumped in, but it was definitely, you know, pretty minimal, not really discussed, and the rates of people who sought to transition were really low. Crucially as well, it was almost exclusively men. So it was men seeking to become women, not that that's possible. Now, however, since about 2016, 17, the rates of girls and young women seeking to become men absolutely skyrocketed. And those, you know, so you had a lot of girls being referred to so-called gender clinics. Now, I think that part of the reason why that happened is because this kind of transition for a lot of girls and young women represents a way to opt out of womanhood. And being a woman, you know, I think it's a great thing, but it's also difficult, and especially when you're going through puberty and, you know, bear in mind...
Is that why they're doing it, you think? Because they're trying to escape womanhood?
For some, at times, absolutely. Partly because, you know, we're living in a society that's increasingly sexualised. You know, porn culture is rife. The way that men see women has definitely, you know... It's not necessarily in a good situation, not to mention the fact that culturally, generally, you know, we're importing people from cultures that have a totally different attitude towards women, I'd say a much worse one. It's not an easy time to be a woman, which is sad because for a minute there, Britain was a great place to be a woman and sex equality was, you know, maybe not totally achieved, but we were getting there. And now I think that the tables have really turned, which is a really big shame. And then in comes trans, and it's basically saying, oh, you don't like being a woman, there's a pill for that now.
Yeah, right. And many people tell me as well that some of the places where there's a high preponderance of it is in private schools, where an awful lot of, you know, what you might call relatively well-off teenagers from pretty, you know, middle-class backgrounds are kind of finding their way into these waters, if you like, driven perhaps by anxiety or some, you know, form of autism or some form of, you know, ADHD, and they suddenly, you know, they kind of discover trans, and that's kind of the answer for them. It's a strange one, isn't it?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right about those sort of comorbidities. So the vast majority of girls and young women who have been referred to these sort of gender clinics, one of which is the Tavistock, which was closed down in total scandal because it was found to, you know, be
sort of encouraging it, wasn't it?
Well, absolutely, and prescribing drugs inappropriately and all the rest of it. But a lot of these girls and young women who were referred had, yes, autism, ADHD, a history of depression, and many a history of sexual trauma. So basically had suffered sexual assault in the past, which, you know, I think that says so much. When I talk about this desire to not necessarily be a man, but just to not be a woman, you can see where it stems from. I mean, the trans is often dubbed a social contagion, and that's absolutely right in terms of the way that it spreads, especially among girls, because girls obviously, you know, we sort of have friendships in groups, we're very kind of socially driven to not buck any trends, and so when one person does something, often friends will imitate it. And just to kind of, you know, illustrate what I'm saying, the rates of anorexia, this was studied in some schools in America, plummeted, and rates of trans skyrocketed among girls. So it was just total crossover.
So like one or the other almost.
It's the new trend. So, eating disorders is a social trend that happened among girls. Self-harm was then a really big one, and now it is trans.
Right.
The patterns are exactly the same.
And so is it, as I say, is it similarly in the numbers of young women doing this? Is it sort of still quite high then?
It's fallen off a bit. I mean, in the UK and the US, which are sort of the biggest places in the world for this stuff anyway. In Australia, there's some, Canada also, but, those are two countries that are often focused on because it's where it really, really kind of gained a lot of traction. Canada too, to be fair. So it has gone down, partly because now people are realising that it's not necessarily viable for them to decide they're trans and then it all happened very quickly. Now there are better safeguards in place to the extent that it's not overnight. But also as well, the trend is in some senses really, really dying. So support for trans as an idea has decreased. But what that does mean is that those who remain, this is the hill they will die on. So it's the really crazy crazies. And that's obviously horrifying.
Sure.
But as far as I'm concerned, the priority right now is to make sure that children are not forced into making irreversible life decisions based on an ideology, based on a lie. It is not the right thing ever to lie to children. And so the first thing that I believe should be happening right now is that schools, there needs to be a review of how this stuff is being absolutely shoved down the throats of children in schools, because when you are that young, you do not differentiate. You can't recognise propaganda when you see it because you're a child.
And what sort of things are they saying in schools? What sort of things are being taught then?
So children in schools at the moment, it's not necessarily true across the board, and some schools there's none of this, but at some there's a lot. There's a lot of discussion of LGBTQ stuff. Which, look, fine, if you're going to do sex education in schools, then of course that stuff can be mentioned, but at an appropriate age and at an appropriate time. And again, it is never going to be appropriate to tell a child that biological sex is some kind of inconvenient construct that we've invented. It's also, there are books in schools right now that are promoting the idea that you can change your sex, that sex is arbitrary, and also books with really inappropriate content when it comes to sex education, so basically pornographic stuff. Stonewall, the charity, released school guidance basically saying that schools should have to enforce that trans women are women and trans men are men, and that to go against that would mean that the child would need to be reprimanded. I mean, this is outrageous. It's total indoctrination.
I must admit, I found this, my kids are a bit older now, but when they were younger in high school down in Sussex, and I went in for a parents' evening one evening, and every single notice board in the school had one thing on it and one thing only, and it was a poster for Stonewall. And I thought, I don't mind the odd one, but why is every single notice board in the school has nothing else on it apart from Stonewall?
Yeah. Well, so Stonewall, was founded originally as, lesbian and gay rights organisation, and it did really good work initially. Right. In 2015, as I actually mentioned in the speech at the union, it added that letter T.
Yeah.
And since then, it has been extremely vocal in its pro-trans stance.
Right.
To the extent that, it's basically... It releases this guidance to schools, for example, but it's also run workshops in the past to tell lesbians, so women who are attracted to women, that they need to unlearn their objection to the male body. So it's basically trying to, that's conversion therapy, if anything is, trying to tell these lesbians that they're somehow transphobic for not fancying men. Give me strength.
It's weird, isn't it? Very weird. And your that speech went sort of viral, didn't it, that you made there? And how did that manifest itself? You said that you've been attacked and you've been vilified and you've been called names and all the rest of it. Does that still go on? How bad is that?
So the speech, which I gave back in sort of mid-May, just before I finished my time at the University of Cambridge, it gained a lot of traction online, which I was really surprised, but pleasantly surprised about, I guess, because, it's really important that this stuff is said. For too long, you've had politicians umming and ahhing and dodging the question. You've had people in society bullied out of jobs, out of workplaces generally, because you're just not allowed to say this stuff. Well, that can no longer be the case, because it's so important that we bring this stuff out into the open, especially because it gives other people permission to do the same thing. If we publicly say this stuff, and my right to say it is protected under the law, if we publicly say this stuff, more and more people are able to do the same thing or, point to it as reference, say, I agree with that. And that's extremely important, especially as a young woman, because young women are some of the most captured. It's so difficult to dissent against this ideology as a young woman. It's just, it is not the status quo by any means. So I'm really glad that it gained traction, because, like I say, I've had contact from so many young women who've said, I totally agree with you and you've helped me feel like I can say it too.
Right. Oh, that's good. And have you got sort of plans to continue campaigning in this area?
Yeah, I mean, I care about other things insofar as, incidentally, I believe that trans is a symptom of a far bigger problem, which is, an out-of-control radical left, which is endangering people and, is just drunk on its own power and it's dangerous and we need to stop it right now. Yeah. Trans is just one element of it. It's also, part of the free speech crisis that we're currently in, and those things interest me, and, campaigning for women's rights is, for me, part of a broader thing. Right. But yeah, I'm going to continue. While it needs to happen, I'll do it. And until we've won, then, there's still work to be done.
Yeah, well, good. Good for you. Are you contactable if anybody wants to talk to you, or is there a website that you have or anything like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on X just under my name, which is Maeve Halligan, and I welcome any contact on there. Or questions or whatever.
Not any contact, presumably pleasant contact, as opposed to people being really horrible.
I mean, if you have a sort of pressing question, then you're welcome to ask me. Preferably no insults, but I can't. Free speech, I can't control what you say.
No, well, that's very good of you. It's great to see you, and brilliant work that you're doing.
Maybe is that right on screen? Have a look.
What's that?
Your Twitter.
At Maeve Halligan, there you go. Brilliant. Well, I mean, it's great work that you're doing, and we're certainly in support of it. So anything we can do, let us know.
Thank you so much.
Good. Maeve Halligan, great to see you. Thank you very much indeed. We've got a few clips that we haven't played yet, which we could play. How about Carolyn Harris, because this is quite good fun. This is a Labour MP, right? Swansea, I think, who used to have red hair, but has seemingly given herself a bit of a makeover, because she used to come to Talk TV a lot. But she's very upset about Keir Starmer going. Shall we have a look?
Can I thank my right honourable and very dear friend for everything he's given to our party and our country. There were few who believed we could make the changes needed to bring in a Labour government after the general election of 2019 when he became leader. But today, because of his service and his leadership, children are growing up in a fairer Britain. We stand tall on the world stage, and every day we've seen his decency and his courage shine through. Can I thank him and his wonderful family on behalf of me and my family for their cherished friendship, and I am certain everyone will join me in wishing him and his family the very, very best for their next chapter.
Can I thank my honourable friend for her question, for her support and friendship, to me, to Vic and to the kids. Whatever the challenge.
Vic and the kids, I love you. Remember that yesterday? I love you. I think we should have a meltdown. I'm getting wound up now. Let's go. Now, we've got a poll going today as well, for those of you who don't know, and it's related to my meltdown. And the poll is, what should we call Lord Sadiq Khan? Because he's apparently going to get a peerage. Lord of Hypocrisy, Lord of Tiny Men, Lord of Lies, Lord of Fines. And surprisingly, or perhaps not surprisingly, Lord of Lies is winning at 46%. Because Sadiq Khan is possibly one of the most odious, ghastly, awful individuals I've had the misfortune of having to live under. And when I say live under, it means because I live in London, he basically is the sort of the despot that rules London. He's the man who decided it was a great idea to rip up the entire road structure and put a load of cycle lanes in. He's the man who decided it was a good idea to pay people who drive tube trains £75,000 a year for a 4-day week and a 32-hour 4-day week. He's the guy who likes the idea of having iftars in Trafalgar Square. He's the guy who thinks it's a great idea to say that Britain is a wonderful country and London is a fantastic city and there are no grooming gangs anywhere near the capital. Well, it turns out he's wrong about that because the Metropolitan Police are now investigating tens of thousands of cases of grooming gangs in London itself. He's also the guy that's in charge of the Metropolitan Police, which is an organisation so ruined by the wokists and by the DEI mentality that it can't do its job. Two-tier policing exists because of Sadiq Khan. Two-tier politics exists because of Sadiq Khan. He never answers a question. Susan Hall, who was the leader one time of the Conservative group in London, used to ask him questions at Mayor's Question Time all the time. And he just never answered them, just didn't think he needed to. And he's very arrogant about it as well. He's also the guy who tells everybody not to drive a car. He keeps putting the congestion charge up. It now costs 18 quid to drive in central London. And that's if you haven't paid for a ULEZ charge coming in, which is about another 15, I think. So some people are paying nearly £30 a day to drive around in London, where the city is actually gridlocked, where the Lord of Knives, that's a good one, from Limsky, you know, the city is gridlocked, so the congestion charge actually doesn't work. He also lied about saying that London's air was cleaner than it actually is. He tells lies as a matter of course, all the time. He could not lie straight in bed. He's a terrible, terrible individual. And my fear is that Keir Starmer, who's now serving today as his final day as the Prime Minister, right, is actually giving him a peerage in order to bring him into the government in some way, shape or form. Because you might remember David Cameron was made a peer in order to become Foreign Secretary. So it might well be that this is some kind of backdoor method of getting Sadiq Khan into Downing Street.
Starmer at the back door?
Starmer at the back door.
Starmer and a back door?
And a back door. A back door way in.
Yeah.
And he's not even Ukrainian. Lord of creeps. So Sadiq Khan, I mean, the only good news, I suppose, is that he won't be Mayor of London anymore if he goes into the House of Lords. But, I mean, who on earth came up with this idea? And what does Keir Starmer have that Sadiq Khan wants? Lord of Londonistan has got a good one from Jolly Choo Choos. I'm just very disappointed. You know, we shouldn't be handing out... And also, we've got a clip, I think, haven't we, of Sadiq Khan saying he doesn't think the House of Lords should exist. Have we got that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see if we can find that.
That exchange between Sean Bailey and myself is proof, if it was ever needed, that we should abolish the House of Lords.
He's not there yet, Chair.
Thank you. I think Assembly Member Bailey, did you want to say something?
Just let's be clear.
Is this a point of order?
Yeah, yes. I was named. The question I asked, to the.
It was Assembly Member Landeval who mentioned you.
No, it was the mayor.
What?
Point of explanation was the mayor. It was the mayor.
Okay.
Yeah. The point I was trying to make, Mayor, you often talk about the community being the eyes and ears of the police, and I was suggesting that the VRU has enough money to try and do something in the community to get the community to help the police. If other members are confused about what I was saying, I hope they no longer are confused.
So he wants to do away with the House of Lords. Not anymore, because now he wants to be in it. Funny that, isn't it? Khan's a bloody hypocrite, says Leyland. Yeah, he is. He's worse than a hypocrite. He's a dangerous individual. He keeps putting the council tax up. He keeps making the services worse. He favours one religion over another. You never hear him being in any way pleasant about anyone who is not a member of a minority. He puts up Diwali lights. He puts up Eid lights. He puts up Ramadan lights. Lord of the Gimps, says Emma. And he also has more people working in his PR department than anybody who's in the cabinet. He's got about 65 people working for him, just making his image look good. Unbelievable stuff. So Sadiq Khan, 9 danker is what I would say. We don't want him in the House of Lords. We don't want him to be Mayor of London. I'd be quite happy if he just emigrated, actually, and went and lived somewhere else. And that's my meltdown. Oh, is he? Should we have some news first?
Yes.
Let's have some news with Fiona McLeod.
Hi there. Fiona McLeod here with your Friday News Bulletin. Andy Burnham takes centre stage today as the new Labour leader and incoming Prime Minister. He's promising to fix the big things, empower communities, and spread growth everywhere. Because obviously Britain's problems will melt away under more of that trademark Manchester managerialism, especially with chatter about controversial Chancellor choices. Keir Starmer's classy exit, handing out peerages like sweets, including a nice seat in the Lords for Sadiq Khan, rewards for a job, well, done-ish, classic. Post-World Cup, number 10 declares the Falkland Islands definitely British after Argentina's victory. Glad they've woken up to that one. Meanwhile, the heat wave drags on with hosepipe bans and wildfire alerts. Please remember to like and subscribe. See you later, alligators.
Fiona McLeod there with the news. Coming up, we'll speak to Anna McGovern, who's here, hot-footing it from the CPAC conference yesterday, where she was filming and interviewing a bunch of people, including me, funnily enough. Christian Drogan is here now, though, from Watchman. He's going to tell us about the refugee integration loan, because I was reading earlier, Christian, very good morning to you.
Morning.
I was reading earlier that apparently the Home Office has squandered something like 18.7 million quid. They've given refunds to refugees, apparently, asylum seekers, who were supposedly meant to pay some kind of £1,000 fee for each year of their visa, and then they somehow managed to give them all the money back. So this is something else you're going to tell us about, right?
Yeah, the refugee integration loan. I mean, I've been scouring the government website, just sort of digging down into data tables and things like that. And I came across this sort of refugee integration loan. Now, it's actually been around for quite a while, to be fair, since 2007. But the refugees can claim for if they're a couple, they can claim for up to 780 quid.
Right.
You know, off the government, interest-free loan to integrate into society. So,
and what does that even mean? Integrate into society? What? Spend it down? Presumably not spend it down the pub.
I mean, there are some restrictions on what they can spend it on, but there's nothing to police those restrictions. And also, you know, if you're an individual, you can apply for £500 interest-free loan. And the most surprising thing is that there's nothing really to say. There's no mechanism in place for them to have to pay it back. So
I was going to say they probably don't pay it back.
500 quid free money.
All right. And how widespread do you think it is in terms of how many people actually apply for it?
Well, so going back, there's not even any figures reported to say how many have been taken out. However, estimates are around 30,000 people have taken these loans out, and there's no figures to say how many people have paid them back either. So it's something I'm going to dig deeper down into, because effectively this is just free money being handed out to refugees again.
Right.
So,
and if that figure is right, if it's 30,000 people, that's 15 million quid, isn't it?
Well, yeah, depending on how much they've taken.
If they take 500 quid, that's 15 million.
Which, exactly, yeah.
Amazing.
So it's a fair chunk of money, and also it's just for me it's more principle. You know, that there's people in this country struggling to get by, as we all know, and they can't apply for a free government interest-free government loan. So yeah, it's just another scenario of the British man being put second. Yes,
unfortunately so. Well, similarly here with this thing, the IHS, the Immigration Health Surcharge, where people have just been refunded the amount of money that they've paid. And it also says the document set out a £14.9 million loss on acquiring. This is a place I know, the North Eye site down in East Sussex, where it was an old military barracks. They were supposed to be using it as a detention centre, and it turned out that the locals objected. And so they spent 15 million acquiring something they never used.
Yeah, the latest confirmed official figure for this integration loan is 18,794 people who had taken the loan. That was back in November 2019. So obviously a request was put in for an up-to-date total in March 2024,
Right.
And the Home Office actually refused to provide a figure. So it's just another, yeah, it's another.
It's just a shambles, isn't it? It's a complete shambles.
Yeah, it really is.
Well, how about this, right? I mean, I don't know if you saw this one. This is also in the Mail today. Labour's small boat Supremo. They don't actually name him, but I remember when the guy was appointed by Keir Starmer. He was paid £260,000 last year, including £51,000 in lieu of notice when he departed in March after being in the job for just 18 months and having achieved the square root of bugger all, basically. He was called the Border Security Commander. And he was tasked with bringing down the number of small boat crossings, which of course actually went up. So, I mean, the whole thing is a joke.
Well, that's a whole nother story as well. I mean, you've got all these Home Office claims that are being put out. We actually just, we discussed it the other week when I was on the show with you, and the Home Office claims they're putting out at the minute, they're wrong. They're fudged figures, and I'm happy to say that. I'm happy to put that on my head because I've been looking into it very closely, and I've got experience on the ground in France, so I know, and I know people other people who have been to France as well, and I know that the figures are fudged that the Home Office are putting out.
What, in terms of the numbers coming over?
Well, they claim, the Home Office claim that their deal, since Labour took office, they claim that their deal with the French has stopped 44,000 crossings.
Rubbish.
It's either the metrics.
Well, I mean, I can tell you it's rubbish.
I
can tell you it's rubbish without even knowing the facts because it just doesn't sound right, does it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, there's
It's
loads of
it's like saying it's the sort of thing Sadiq Khan would say. I've stopped 40,000 murders from taking place in London, and you go, well, how do you know that? Well, I've just decided to say it. I mean, that's kind of what we're dealing with, isn't it? You can't really report something that hasn't happened. They're basically claiming something that you can't prove.
No, exactly. And also they use very loose wording on how they get to those figures. So their sort of metrics to get to those figures are not like say how we would work it out. They're basically they are how a crook would work it out effectively.
Yes. Yeah, well, I think you're probably saying something there more true than we know. Good stuff. Brilliant. Good to see you. How are things going at Watchmen in terms of
we're doing
keeping
well.
your eyes on stuff?
Well. Yeah, we're doing well, Mike. We've on the 24th. I'm going dark again. We've got a big investigation, and hopefully it'll all go well. And yeah, we've had plenty of good comments and plenty of support from the public. So we're going to keep on pushing forward and trying to dig into the truth.
Right, good stuff. Well, good to see you, Christian. We haven't seen you for a while, so keep up the good work and look after yourself.
Thanks,
Watchmen.com there, of course. You can find them on social media as well. Watchmen on Twitter is where you want to go and find out what they're up to. So they do some really good work. Kelvin Mackenzie's coming up at 10 o'clock. Of course, he's back. He's in on a Friday this week, so for your delectation. And now it's time to look back on the big day we had yesterday down at CPAC. Anna Montgomery's here. Anna, good to see you.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm actually sending the trailer right now.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Excellent. So how long will that take then? Because it's probably
take about a couple of minutes.
Couple of minutes?
And then...
So this is actually live broadcasting as live, right? So she's
had a
come
bit
in.
of Wi-Fi issues.
She's been editing the all the different interviews that we did yesterday, and putting them into a package. And so
put it out separately anyway.
We're going to put it out, I think, at the weekend as a separate. We can play the talk one in the meantime. Yeah, this is quite funny.
Oh, quick, you said that.
I was persuaded to do a little cameo by the talk stand because there wasn't anybody there. Check it out. So hello, here I am inside CPAC. I found myself in front of the talk booth. There's nobody here. I was hoping they might give me a chance to be interviewed, but there's no one here. So I don't know what's happened. It's almost as though since I left, there's just nobody left. They've all disappeared. I don't know why. I don't know what you're supposed to do. Anyway, I hope you're all enjoying it, and I'll see you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. on the Mike Graham Show.
Not until...
It was funny. It was quite a good day, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a really good day. I did feel it was a bit quieter than I expected, but I imagine it's because everyone's hungover from the World Cup.
From the football.
And it's not coming home.
Well, what I noticed, I did a panel show around just about 1:45, and when we started, it was probably about, I'd say, half full, maybe two-thirds full, but by the time we finished, it was actually full.
No, it definitely got busier as the afternoon went on.
Right.
I think people were coming.
And there was, there was lots of, quite a lot of international people. There's a whole bunch of people from Romania who seemed to be very noisy, and there was quite a few Americans. We were on a panel with this Polish guy who was quite interesting from, I think it was Republica TV, I think he said he was from. And so you've interviewed a bunch of people that we're going to put it into a reel and
just about to send right now. It's almost sent.
If we don't get a chance to play it on the show today, hopefully we will. But if we don't, we're going to put it out as a weekend kind of treat for people anyway. So tell us who you spoke to and what sort of things they said.
I spoke with so many people. It's a really full on day. I spoke with Lucy Colony. It's the first time that I met her, and I've been following her story for years.
She's great, isn't she?
Yes, she is great, and so interesting to talk to as well. And I think what happened to her was shambolic.
Yeah, right.
And she was made an example of at the time. It's just awful. So spoke about that, spoke about her new book that's come out, A Sweet Too Far. Yeah. And I also interviewed young Bob. Right. He just celebrated his 18th birthday.
Oh, so what is he now? Not so young Bob
He's
now?
Not. I asked him this. I said.
Oh, yeah, he was meant to be here. What happened to him?
He never showed up.
He hasn't shown up.
Oh,
okay.
no.
Right.
Well.
So what did he have to say?
He is in the trailer, but I did ask him that. I said, when you're older, what happens? Are you going to be young Bob forever? Right. What happens when you're 80? You're still young Bob when you're 80.
It's a good question.
And he said you'll forever be young Bob.
Okay.
He did also make a slightly darker sentiment that in his line of work, that people don't tend to live that long, which I think I think because bless him, he gets attacked
he does
the university debates as well. He sets up a stand. It's the Change My Mind, so you'll have a statement on there, and then people come up and debate him about it. Yeah. But he's very often getting attacked for that, which I think is so sad, because I think regardless, he was 17 as well at the time. He's just turned 18 now, and I think the fact that people are just attacking a child out on the street.
I know, it's awful,
it takes balls to go out and do that, to actually stand up for what you believe in and debate people much older than you about it. Yeah, regardless, I think it's
and he was beaten up not that long ago. Was it a month or so ago when they broke his cameras and all of that? So he's got all his equipment back now, presumably to do that again.
I did see that online. I swear it got nicked as well. Someone nicked it, and they're talking about that. I'm not sure what's happened with that since. I imagine it's been replaced. Yeah. But we spoke about his plans for what he's got coming up as well. And he said it should be interesting now he's turned 18, so he's no longer a child. Yeah. So if he said he's been arrested 3 times, I believe. So now he'll be treated as an adult. Right. So interviewed him, so many people tried to think, I met Liz Truss for the first time as well in the bathroom. Oh. I was just washing my hands, and then she just comes out, and I was like, what?
All right. Well, I mean, she normally has...
She comes out of the toilet. I was like, okay.
She normally has a security detail with her. I presume they don't go in the toilet with her.
No, they don't follow her to the... Not that I saw.
I'll have to ask Will Geddes about that. How does that work? If you've got a female... CPR. But if you're in charge of a female, though, you can't follow her into the toilet?
No, of course not.
No. So
that's why you need a female CPO.
Yeah, okay.
Charlotte, I've sent it to you, the clip. I just thought I would let you know.
Charlotte seems to have left the building. Where have
Charlotte's
you gone?
left the building.
Why have you left? Oh, a crisis.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Well, it's been sent, so
okay, great.
Hopefully, all of you will get to watch it.
Yes.
So.
Oh, you'll certainly get. If we don't get it on the show, we'll definitely get it. Is there a chance we can get it on the show? If you have it.
Yeah, time's not good.
Time is not good.
It's only a minute and a half, just to let you know.
Yeah. Be good if we could.
Yeah.
Be nice.
But if not, I'm sure it'll come out one way or another.
Yeah. If not, we'll put it out. We'll put it out on YouTube. If not, later.
Well, myself and William Yarwood went for a tour around the exhibition room.
Yeah, he was on good form, wasn't he?
Pardon?
He was on good form.
Yeah. Begrudgingly.
In fact, I completely forgot actually, because yesterday I haven't got them with me. They gave me some coasters, Taxpayer Reliance coasters, which I need to bring in so that we can have something other than pictures of me and herons, which would be nice. And also they gave me a lighter, which was very clever, a lighter with a bottle opener at the end. so you can open beer with it as well as smoke.
That's quite fun.
This is quite a good little gadget to have.
And did you tell everyone what happened with the table as well, your Mike Graham table?
Oh well, not really. No. Well, I mean, I sort of explained when we did the thing with Talk, because we asked for a sort of a stand as such, and there was this room which was sort of the exhibitors' room, wasn't it? And everybody had these really nice banners, and we were supposed to have a banner. But our banner got lost in the post somehow, and so we didn't have any kind of banner. So we just had a piece of paper with my name written on it in handwriting. Just said Mike Graham. In fact, that's probably on the. Is that on the reel that you've done?
That is on the reel, yes.
So because I'm holding it up and going, this was very, very expensively made banner that we had. And when I first got down there, the first thing I saw as I walked in was this big Talk banner. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I wonder where we are then. And it turned out we were right behind them.
I wonder if they did that on purpose.
Well, apparently not, because then this guy came over and said, "Oh, actually, we have to switch you around." So they switched me around. So I was then put somewhere behind them instead of in front of them. Anyway, and then when I came back to see what had happened, it had been switched back again the other way.
What?
And I saw. I've forgotten his name. Will, you were going to tell me, but I don't think one of the producers from Breakfast was there, and he looked a bit shocked when he saw me because I said, "What have you done with my stand? You've moved it." And he used to be quite frightened of me when I worked there, So of course now he didn't know what to do. And I said, "Look, it's all right. I don't really care." But apparently they'd paid for the internet, which was it was a couple of £100 just to have the internet connection, Ethernet or whatever it was, and also to pay for the power as well, which we didn't need because we bring our own power, and we couldn't afford it anyway. And so I just sat down and Anna interviewed me, and so we got use out of it at the end of the day.
I've got it.
Have you got it? Oh, here we go. Well, let's play. I've just been examining our stand, which I think is entirely appropriate for an independent broadcaster.
We should explain what's happened.
Yeah, I mean,
this is Mike's.
So here's the thing, right?
We've got men coming over into our country, quite literally shipped in on boats like army soldiers, invading our shores with values and from countries that believe that women are second-class citizens.
I'm Lucy Connolly, and I'm now infamous for sending a not very nice tweet during the Southport riots, and I got a 31-month prison sentence.
Now I'm turning 18, two-tier police, and I've already been arrested like 3 times doing activism, and it's easier to prosecute people who are legally considered adults, so it should be interesting.
Liam Melvin is still here.
Also, when you return back to Christianity, you return back to common sense.
We are a Christian nation, and that Christian values do centre the family, that men and women need each other. We've got to stop fighting against each other and realise that the real enemy isn't each other.
We have the issue of our politics becoming increasingly polarised, and people on the left and people on the right not even being able to speak to each other.
This country has gone downhill since Labour, even more since what the Tories did. It's even gone even more downhill with this wretched Labour government.
We have free speech issues, we've got tech censorship, obviously the economy is going down the toilet.
Now the tables are turned and I seem to be powerless. They've literally turned the tables on me.
So for those of you who aren't able to make it, that's okay, because I'll be bringing you along with me for the whole thing, so stay tuned for more.
There we are. That was good.
Thank you.
And then we ended up having a few drinks outside on the balcony, which was rather nice. And we're going back down there today, aren't we?
Yeah,
or you're going
think
back
so.
later. I've got to go for lunch as well as dinner. So I'm going to go for lunch and dinner. I'm meeting some very important Americans apparently in the company of Liz Trust. So that should be fun. So thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
Very kind of you. I think we've got Bishop Kai Dewar, have we not, to speak to now, because the show is getting on. But you stay where you are if you wish to.
Yeah. I just found his face on my coaster.
Oh, yeah.
Is that his face? Is that your face?
Yeah, we've got his face here. Yeah, well, we've got his face here and there. People think that's a bit strange, that I've got a beer mat with your picture on it, but I don't think it's strange at all. How are you?
I'm very good. I was going to say there's an awful lot of people got a dartboard with my face on it.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Well, listen, good to see you. Do you know, I met a woman yesterday, and in fact, we had a drink together from Wales, who said that she saw you in a chemist the other day. Somewhere in Pembrokeshire.
She's a newly elected member of the Welsh Senedd for the
That's
Reform.
right, yeah, from Reform, yeah. Very nice lady.
It was the strangest Sunday afternoon I've ever had, where this random woman just walked up to me in boots when I was trying to find. So I was trying to find face cream for my wife.
Yeah.
She gave me a very specific one to find. Do you think I could find it? Could I?
No, of course not. No, because we can't find things like that. Men are
Exactly.
completely and utterly incapable of finding anything in a shop that we are asked to find by women. I don't know what it is. We just can't do it.
In my defence, when I finally asked the sales assistant, she explained they didn't have it in the store. So I spent an hour on my knees with a random woman talking to me about politics, trying to find a face cream that wasn't even there in the first
It's very funny, actually, because she said he was in there trying to buy something for his wife, and then she gave me this look, and I went, I don't want to know what he was in there trying to buy. I'm not sure where that's going, but... Anyway,
I see
listen.
there's a wonderful banner you had at CPAC. I'm assuming your banner's somewhere with my invitation in the post lost.
Well, I'm sure it will be. Yeah. Well, I blame Charlotte for that. It's her fault. She should have invited you. There's still time. I'm going down there later if you want to pop up to London and
I
join
think
us
by
for
the
dinner.
time I get out of here, I might be there in time for breakfast tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, give us a sermon to be getting on with, because time is tight. So go for it.
I most certainly will. Well, as we gather again and reflect on the past week, we've seen the all too familiar headlines: murder, conflict, anxiety, political division, economic uncertainty, and countless ordinary people simply trying to keep their heads above water. There comes a point where the weight of life is such that we no longer know what to say. Perhaps that is where some of you find yourselves this morning. Perhaps you've prayed every prayer you know. You've exhausted every argument. You've run out of words. If that is you, then hear these beautiful words from St. Paul. Likewise, the Spirit also helps in our weakness, for we do not know what we should pray for as we ought, but the Spirit himself makes intercessions for us with groanings which cannot be uttered. Now he who searches the heart knows that the mind of the Spirit is, because he makes intercessions for the saints according to the will of God. That's his letter to the Romans, chapter 8, as we read it. Notice that St. Paul does not say, if you become weak. He says the Spirit helps us in our weakness. Weakness is not an exception in the Christian life. It is one of the places where God delights to meet us. We live in an age that worships strength. Social media demands confidence. Politics rewards certainty. The world tells us to project success, suppress tears, and never let anyone see us struggle. Yet the kingdom of God turns that entirely upside down. The greatest apostle openly admitted that there were moments when he simply did not know how to pray. Think about that this morning, my brothers and sisters. This is St. Paul, the missionary, the theologian, the martyr in waiting. And even he reached moments where words failed him. If Paul could admit that, perhaps we can stop pretending that we always have everything together. There are seasons when grief is too deep for language. There are hospital rooms where words disappear. There are marriages under severe strain, parents praying for their children, children grieving for their parents, men and women lying awake at 3 a.m, staring into the darkness, wondering exactly what tomorrow will bring. And sometimes all we can offer God is the heaviness of a sigh. Sometimes only tears, sometimes complete silence. And as St. Paul says something astonishing, the Holy Spirit understands every one of them. The Spirit does not merely hear our prayers, he carries them. He takes what is broken, fragmented, and incomplete and presents it before the throne of Almighty God in perfect accordance with our Heavenly Father's will. Think of the comfort in that. Your prayers do not depend upon your eloquence. They do not depend upon finding exactly the right words. God has never been impressed by polished speeches. He searches the heart. The cry that never reaches your lips is heard, even in heaven. The prayer that collapses into tears is understood completely. The exhausted whisper of, Lord, help me, is enough. That should encourage every single one of us listening today. Christianity is not performance. It is a relationship. and relationships survive silence. A loving father does not require perfect sentences from a frightened child. He simply reaches out his hand. And our Heavenly Father does exactly the same. Perhaps that is also something that our nation needs to remember. Britain often appears exhausted. There is a continuing anger in our politics, weariness in our communities, loneliness despite being more connected than ever. Many have lost confidence in institutions that once held public trust. People wonder where hope can be found. But hope does not begin in Westminster. It does not begin in Whitehall. It does not begin in the markets or the opinion polls, as I have said so many times. Hope begins where every genuine renewal has always begun, in hearts that turn back to God. Throughout history, every true revival has begun not with polished programs, but with people who realized they could no longer save themselves. It begins with the humblest of prayers, sometimes articulate, but sometimes broken prayer. But it's always prayer. So, my brothers, my sisters, if this week has left you feeling defeated, if you have reached the end of your own strength, if you've wondered whether God has actually forgotten you, remember Romans chapter 8. Even when you cannot pray, the Holy Spirit is praying for you. Even when you cannot stand, Christ still holds you. Even when your faith feels no larger than a flickering candle, God has never let go of your hand. The same chapter goes on to declare that nothing, not tribulation, distress, persecution, famine, danger, death itself, nor any created thing can separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord. And that is our confidence this morning and always. Not our strength, not our wisdom, not our ability, but His unfailing love. So wherever you are listening today, in your car, in your kitchen, in your workplace, or perhaps sitting quietly wondering whether anyone truly understands what you're carrying, my brothers, my sisters, know this: our God does. The Holy Spirit is closer to you than your next breath. Christ is still praying for His people, and the Father has never abandoned you. So take heart. You may not have the words today, but heaven always knows your prayer. Amen.
Bishop Kai, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. Bishop Kai Dewar, as ever, with a very uplifting message for the end of the week. And thank you, because last week I think you really were at your best when you were, your tribute to Anne Widdecombe went down terribly well. Everyone was very pleased to hear that. And we obviously think of her still 1 week on from all of that. So thank you very much indeed. We'll see you same time next week. Have a lovely weekend, and
thanks, mate.
Hope you can find the face cream the next time you go to the shops.
I'm not going back to Boots again.
Do you know, I actually got boycotted by local Boots because I went in and had a row with them because I went in to buy some just some painkillers or something one day, and they were like, "Oh, we can't sell you those." I said, "Why is that?" And they were the pharmacist at lunch, and I went, "Well, you know, so what? I mean, it's not like I'm going to make crystal meth with it. You know, I just want some, I just want a few Nurofen just because. Is it for you? Well, yeah, it's for me. Yeah. You know, in case I get a headache. Well, have you not got a headache? And I just, well, just can you not sell? And they went, no, you have to come back in an hour. And I'm like, I'm just not coming back in. Yeah,
that's really strange.
Apparently, the pharmacist has to sell you them.
Oh.
Anyway, so I've never been back since. This is the little one in like the town in Sussex where I go. So now if I have to go to the chemist, I have to get in the car and drive quite a long way away because I refuse to go back. But there we are. Kai, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed.
Have a wonderful week.
Thank you. So what's the plan for later then?
So it's day 2 of CPAC. I'm just going to take my headphones off.
Yeah, you don't need those.
Because I can hear myself back and that's too much. So it's day 2. It's meant to be busier today.
Yeah.
And Nigel Farage is meant to give
speaking
a
today,
speech
right? Okay.
as well. So lots of people are very excited
I'm
about
sure
that.
that will turn. Somebody actually said to me today, I'm surprised there were no lefties turning up to kind of, demonstrate. So there might be a few today, I suppose.
I saw a couple of lefties in the conference.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just a couple,
Right.
just like milling around. But yeah, no, I'm surprised, to be fair, that there weren't any protests. But I wonder if that's because it's the mainstream media covering the CPAC conference.
Well, I mean,
is it really in the news?
I heard, when I was doing the panel with Dan Wootton yesterday, he said he'd seen somebody there from the Mirror, and the Mirror had put something out
I
in the
did see
morning.
LBC there too, to be fair. Yeah.
And somebody from Politics Joe, I think, as well.
Yes.
So they're probably covering it because Dan was like, the thing is, if it's a left-wing organisation, they just don't let right-wing people in. So he said we should do the same and just ban them from coming in, because they were doing all these pictures of empty halls, which is what they do all the time. And Matt Schlapp,
when everyone's gone into the main hall for the speech, and it's like, wow, it's empty.
Matt Schlapp, who was the American guy who was hosting my panel, who was the former political director of the White House, he said this is what they do in America all the time. Because at the beginning, it's obviously quite quiet and there's always quite a lot of seats and there's quite a lot of spaces.
It's busy,
and so all the lefties do these pictures and go, oh, nobody's going, it's all rubbish,
They got nothing else better to do than turn up to the conference and start taking
and
pictures
then say
of empty
nobody's
rooms.
there.
Where is everyone?
I know, it's really mad, isn't it? But there we are. Anyway, looking forward to it, and I'll be there later on this morning. And I've got to do an interview as well. I've got a sort of mad day today, so and it's a black tie do tonight as well. So have you got your ball gown ready?
I do.
Excellent.
Very excited.
Very good. Splendid. I don't know what the menu's going to be like. I haven't seen that yet, but we should report back at the weekend anyway. But over the weekend, we'll also put out more stuff from the CPAC event, which has been pretty good. Now, we're getting to 9:30, so it's going to be time for Plank of the Week, isn't it? Yeah. We got a couple of super chats first.
Yeah, have we done one with Pooch or?
I don't think so. Conquerors build castles. Number 10 North is exactly that. A left power base, says Matthew. Yeah, they just waste money, don't they? That's part of the problem. Kelvin's here. He's coming up after 10 o'clock. Sunshine Hawk, super chat. Thank you very much indeed. How else? Anything else? Simon Kilford, thank you, as ever. He's been there from the beginning. Misbehaves, very good. I fear that Lord Khan will replace Lord Hermer. Oh, no. Well, he's not a lawyer, is he? I don't think he's a lawyer. IDF kills children. That's an interesting moniker. Hello, everyone. I mean, imagine having a name like that and they're just being nice. So IDF kills children. Hello. Watson says, watching you live tonight from Malibu. And got to see a very handsome Pooch in a suit. Love Mike's new ties. Very handsome. Yeah, this is another one of my ties from Jeff Banks. Jeff Banks sent me a load of free ties, which was nice of him. Yeah. Malibu's a great place. Love Malibu. Judas Goat says, morning from Texas. The pen Buzz Aldrin used in 1969 sold for $850,000. £630,000. That's a lot less than they were hoping for, I think. Speaking of old British shows, I've recently watched the old Les Dawson shows from the 70s with Sissy and Ada. Hilarious. Yeah, those were funny. We were talking about that earlier on. Mick says, morning, Mike, Pooch, and Charlotte, and Will. Wishing everyone a great day. Happy Friday.
That's nice.
Thank you very much indeed. And I think is that it?
That's it, I think.
It is, okay.
So do the intro.
Let's do it. Are they
Live from London, it's Plank of the Week with your host and show creator, Mike Graham.
So, time for Plank of the Week. This is a new format. We're trying to keep it inside the show, and I know most of you seem to think it's quite a good idea now. You didn't like it at first because people don't like change, but we actually like doing it in a slightly shorter form, which means that we don't have to take up a whole hour of your time. We can do it all in about half an hour. So, notwithstanding any further ado, we've got Paul Cox and we've got Mark Littlewood again, I think, from last week. Very good morning to you guys.
Hi, Mike. Hello, how are we doing, Mike?
Yeah, very well, very well. Another great shirt there by the looks of it, Mark.
Yeah, never knowingly understated, Mike.
No, well, I'm sort of going that way with the ties because I got all these lovely. I don't normally wear particularly patterned ties, but Jeff Banks has sent me a load of free ties, and I thought the least I can do is promote British fashion.
Mike, I've got a bit of an excuse, right? This dinner tonight at CPAC, this gala dinner, is billed as black tie optional.
Yes.
So I actually thought I could wear something wacky throughout the day that will just about double up as acceptable gala dinner garb at night. What do you think? Have I gone too far?
I think that sounds fine. I mean, I don't really understand black tie optional. I mean, it's either black tie or it's not.
Yeah.
So I've decided my particular act of rebellion is to wear black tie dinner suit with a sort of dinner suit shirt, but no tie.
Ah, fair enough.
So no bow tie for me. What's the etiquette on this, Paul?
Well, I would go black tie. I could go, but I'm unavailable. I've got an invite.
Unavailable?
Yeah, because...
Well, look at you. What do you mean unavailable? What are you, Marie Antoinette or something?
On a Friday night, I like to do press-ups in the mirror, so I can't. I'm not going to not do that.
I can see why you would like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the mirror?
Well, it's on the floor, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. That was my little joke. Right. Anyway, we better get on, hadn't we? I've only got one mark for you, and that's Herbert Heather or Heather Herbert, whichever way around you want to say it. Have you got another one?
Oh yeah, I've also chipped in with the England manager and the former chief political correspondent of Sky News, Adam Bolton.
Oh right, you've got Adam Bolton as well. Oh, okay, I've got Paul Cox down for Adam Bolton.
Well, we can do a joint double act as we do on the World Cup show at noon, Mike.
Yes, indeed.
Basically, Mike, they're absolute planks, all of them. So give me anyone you like. I can lay into them all.
All right,
I'd love to double up with Mark on Bolton because he's an absolute.
He is you might win it actually. All right then. So well, head us off with Herbert Heather or Heather Herbert.
Yeah, I think you've got to get the gender right. So I think it is Herbert Heather, Mike. This is a key member of the Be Kind coalition of the progressive left in British politics. Yes. Allegedly an academic at the University of Aberdeen, who, on the reaction to Anne Widdecombe's death, and now known to be murder, I mean, went way, way, way over the top. I mean, ludicrous, celebrated her death, hoped she died painfully, hoped she was chained to the bed as she died. Absolutely incredible. Herbert Heather has now been arrested. I've got to say, I'm not so keen on that, right? I'm a free speech advocate, so I think that you can be judged for the terrible things you say in the court of public opinion, but I'm not sure you should be judged for them in a court of law unless you're actually inciting violence or involved in a crime. But surely to God, the University of Aberdeen that say they are looking into complaints about his behaviour are, I don't know how much looking into it requires. So those, this is the standout example of the mask slipping of these people who pretend that we just need to share love and peace for all. And actually, as soon as a political opponent passes away, in this case, in absolutely grim circumstances, but a woman who would not hurt a fly, you actually see the real nature of these people. And Herbert Heather, or Heather Herbert, as he pretends to go by, is a standout example of that. So very grim behaviour, Mike, truly obscene behaviour. Yeah. But I think it also counts as utterly planky behaviour as well. I hope this person is sacked by the University of Aberdeen and it's a career-ending incident.
Yeah, I mean, I've never understood this whole thing of we're looking into it, we're investigating what might have happened. Well, we know what happened. You don't have to investigate what happened. Just get on with it,
We all saw it.
Yeah, I mean, on a similar vein, Paul, you could do Natalie Fleet, I suppose, couldn't you? She was the Labour Minister for Safeguarding Women and Girls.
Yeah, there seems to be a theme here, doesn't there? Women, pretend women. Right. I don't know. Maybe they think this is what women behave like. They don't, by the way. I mean, I can hear Charlotte chuckling in the background. I can't imagine Charlotte doing anything of this nature. Yeah. But the other thing, of course, is Natalie Fleet is an MP, a member of Parliament. And she said her tweet, which has since been deleted, but who cares, because she meant every word of it. Nigel Farage and his gang of bin men get the same security as the rest of us. Sick of this faux outrage. None of them cared. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to go on. There is no faux outrage here. No. Anne Widdecombe was murdered. She was, and I'm not going to speculate beyond that. I'd love to, and I have some really strong views about it. But Anne Widdecombe was murdered. We know that. This was not faux outrage. This was the murder of a friend, someone they truly and genuinely cared about, and someone who was very decent, and incredibly true to her beliefs, her faith, and her political way of life. And Natalie Fleet is just couldn't hold a candle to someone like Anne Widdecombe, and yet she's out there on X saying exactly this. Since deleted it, said she'd never, encourage any violence towards anybody, etc., etc. But all of this is far too late. As Mark was saying, and as I know you've said on air, Mike, this is all incredibly revealing.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter what they want to tell us now. This is all incredibly revealing, and revealing in a way that is true to this psychosis that seems to be part of the left that none of us would indulge in.
Right.
I've said this. I've been saying this for a week. Should Corbyn have met his end this way, or even Keir Starmer?
Yeah.
And I'd been asked to comment. I would have talked about their contribution to public life. I would not have shared my vitriol on what I thought, because nobody deserves, irrespective of their public view, to be taken out in this way. And it's totally abhorrent. And Natalie Fleet should hang her head in shame.
Yes.
And unlike Heather the Herbert, she won't lose her job.
No, unfortunately not. And it's unfortunate as well, is it not, that Starmer didn't actually discipline her for that and say, look, hang on a minute, you're not only an MP for the Labour government, the Labour Party, but you are also a minister for the safeguarding of women and girls, and you're commenting on somebody being murdered who was a woman in a way which is quite disgraceful. He didn't say a bloody word about it, which makes him a double plank, in my view, this week, because I'm sick to death of hearing about what a great guy he is, because everybody seems to be telling me that now. And even those people who tried to get him fired were all cheering him this week. I couldn't quite understand it.
Yeah.
No.
Mike, don't you think there's a strange thing? I think I've started to think that the Labour government are trolling us, because it's not just that, some ministers have opened their mouth only to change feet.
Yeah.
It's peculiar to their portfolio. So you have the housing minister not paying the right tax on housing. You have the minister for corruption getting involved in a corruption scandal. And now you have the minister for the safeguarding of women saying this about a woman who's murdered.
Oh, no.
It's not as
Well,
if
her predecessor taught her well, really. And I know the tweet was, and I'm not for rage archaeology, and the tweet was from 2010. But Jess Phillips' tweet, whilst Anne Widdecombe was on a Strictly Come Dance, was also incredibly revealing, calling her a fascist beast, a little fascist beast, feeling incredibly comfortable to do so, and then went on to become the safeguarding minister for women and girls, even though they can't identify either. This is not by the way, this is not a female thing. This is not a woman thing, and neither is Herbert. But what this is a leftist ideology thing where they believe they can overly moralize to the point that they believe that anybody that opposes them politically deserves death.
Yeah.
Death.
Oh, yeah. Well, David Lammy was getting in on the act as well. He said some time ago about Anne Widdecombe that, she had to be stopped at all costs. And it was kind of like, what are you talking about? What do you mean by that? Some people will deliberately misinterpret that and do something nasty about it, But I'm just going to move away from the Anne Widdecombe vitriol for a moment, just to pick on somebody else who has got nothing to do with Anne Widdecombe, and it's Dale Vince. I want you to have a look at this little bit of footage that we have.
Execution of this. They're worried that actually some of these measures are making the poor poorer and indeed colder. Is that a fair argument to mount?
Well, you asked me first if I agreed with his statement, and I don't.
Yeah.
The facts are wrong.
Okay.
And then it got a bit long-winded and complicated. But do you know what? I'm going to leave because I'm not having this discussion. I'm sorry.
What?
I'm just not.
You're joking. No. Why?
Because I'm just offended.
Why are you offended?
I can't engage in a positive conversation about net zero and stuff like that because of what you said, your attitude, your denial of the facts, the human rights abuses. It's just outstanding to me. Astounding, I mean. I'm sorry.
Okay.
No disrespect, but I'm leaving.
Okay, no disrespect. Then that is the Sunday showdown with Dale Vince over, ladies and gentlemen, because clearly robust debate is not possible.
Now, strangely, I'm not nominating him to be a plank for what he's wearing, although technically that would qualify him. I mean, any man of his age in a vest, I think, is probably, out of order. Shorts as well, which appear to be quite tight, And he's
The
sort
old
of got
banana
his,
vendors.
and he's got his kefir in his hand. I mean, what a complete! He just looks like a plank, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. Similarly, Mike, as you can see, I'm not going to try and plankify him for sartorial reasons. I'm the last one to talk about that, given what I'm wearing. But what absolutely incredible! I mean, you're right though, to turn up to a serious interview dressed like that is.
Yeah.
I mean, that just shows complete disrespect to Camilla Tominey and the Telegraph. But also, I mean, she didn't gun for him that hard. She said, "Look, some people are worried that net zero is making poorer people colder and still poorer. What do you say to that?" And he wasn't even willing to engage in the question.
No,
you would have thought an advocate for net zero would say, "Oh yeah, well I know right wingers like you say that, Camilla, but here's my argument about why it makes the poor much safer, much happier, much warmer, much richer, whatever it might be." Completely reasonable question from Camilla Tominey. Absolutely straight back question. And he was just completely unwilling to deal with it. If you're going to try and defend carbon net zero, surely to God, those are the sort of questions you should expect. And if you flounce out and walk out in a huff when you're asked a very straightforward question like that, I mean, it just shows you've got absolutely no case to put to the public at all.
I mean, what did you think was going to happen when he went to go and see Camilla Tominey for a podcast interview with the Daily Telegraph? Might ask a few questions, maybe. Might mention net zero, possibly. Just bizarre, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely right. Right, back to you, Mark. Thomas Tuchel, or Tuchel. Is it Tuchel or Tuchel?
Tuchel is Germanic pronunciation.
Is it?
It looks like it's French pronunciation.
Because I keep hearing some of these Ponzi kind of commentators calling him Tuchel, as if they know better than I do. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't allow that on our show on UK Live Online.
Quite right, too.
English language only, English pronunciation, and English language only. Strict rule.
Yeah.
That's about the only rule on our show, but nevertheless, we abide by it.
Very good.
Steps,
I suppose you're going to say that that he turned out not to be the tactical genius that everyone thought he was.
Yeah, well, that is basically the judgment. Look, quite a lot of people get hot under the collar after a football defeat and sort of call for people to be sacked and how outraged they are, and a day or so later they've kind of calmed down and okay, some you win, some you lose. It can't all bounce your way. But I've gone in the opposite direction. I was quite phlegmatic when the final whistle went, and in the time since then, I've got very, very hot under the collar about it, especially having rewatched the last 15 minutes or so. So his tactics against Argentina, where we were better than them for the first 50 minutes or so, once we got 1-0 up, was to throw everything, I mean everything at defence, absolutely everything. I was almost expecting him to put on the 2 substitute goalkeepers from the bench.
Yeah. Well, he might as well. It would have been better off just standing everybody on the goal line, wouldn't he? I mean, that's practically what he did.
That was practically what he did. So, look, there's some method in the madness. And if you're 1-0 up, and I don't know, there's 20 minutes to go, you start thinking we're going to protect the lead, not get the second goal. But he threw everything at that. There was no sense of balance at all. There was no insurance policy for supposing the RGs equalised. That's why we lost in the final few moments of the match. So the opposite of a tactical masterclass. And that game was there to be won. Once England had gone 1-0 up, had we just moved modestly more defensive, but kept on players who could counter-attack, I think we would have won the game. And he just doubled down, quadrupled down, quintupled down on that strategy, and it backfired. Look, had we clung on to win 1-0, everybody would be hailing him, and these are games of inches. But in my view, he went way too far in that defensive direction, and that cost England the game. And I don't think there's any other coach in the world, or football pundit, or football fan, or football commentator who would say that Tuchel did the right thing by just putting 11 men in our box. It was a disastrous strategy and may have cost us the World Cup, which we have been waiting for some time, as you know, Mike.
Do you think he had that in his mind before the game started, that if we go 1 up, then that's what I'm going to do?
Yes, probably. I mean, and I wonder whether he also had burnt into his mind how heroically England defended in the earlier game against Mexico, especially when we were down to 10 men. But that's a different scenario. Had we had a player sent off and it looked for all the world that would only be an England player sent off, the Argentinians were never going to get sent off. Had we gone down to 10 men, I would have had more sympathy. But 11 versus 11 against Argentina, you are in a very different scenario to the 10 versus 11 that we had against a weaker Mexico side. So maybe he just almost had immediate fond memories of that heroic Mexico backs to the wall defensive rearguard action that got us through, and just applied it to this match. But you can't do it against a team that have got players that can unlock you. And it cost us. It's a great shame. You can say mistakes happen, but Tuchel is paid an absolute fortune to get these decisions right. And he got this decision chronically and badly wrong in a crucial game of football. Not saying he should be fired, but I'm saying it is a pretty substantial bunch of plankery that was going on the England touchline in that semi-final.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to give Argentina an honourable mention as well, just in passing, not just for the football team's incredible cheating capabilities and then unfurling of a banner that had something about the Malvinas on it, but also their foreign minister, who before the game decided to besmirch all people living on the Falkland Islands as kind of usurpers and pirates and all sorts of other stuff. So thereby allowing the jingoistic newspaper business to rattle into shape and start calling them all Argies and running kind of. I saw some ridiculous sort of videos being put out of. I think was it the England team that put one out of the sort of the England team looking like military people on their way to the Falklands. Yeah. And you kind of went, what's going on with that? I mean, people died in that. It was an actual war. It's not like a video. It's not like a video funny that you can put out as a meme. It's just bizarre.
Just the other thing on Argentina, Mike, the best comment I saw about those Argentine players holding up that massive white flag with the Falklands are Argentinian written across it, obviously in Spanish, is some wag said, I recognise that flag. That's exactly the white flag they hoisted over Port Stanley in 1982. This time it's got writing on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Yeah, fantastic. Over to you, Paul. You've got Rachel Reeves. I think we've got a little clip for you before you say anything. Have you?
Sorry, I thought you were going to go to a clip. But look, Rachel.
And I think people would want to know what the hardest bit's been and what the best bit has been. So what's the hardest? Is there a moment where you really felt the big strain? What's the hardest thing been?
Well, I would say don't cry on national television. That was probably my toughest moment, or perhaps even tougher, seeing the photos of me crying on national television on the front page of pretty much every newspaper the following day. But even that day was better than the 14 years in opposition when I was powerless to change anything in this country.
I don't want to pry about it unnecessarily, but you raised it. Would you tell people what was going on? Because there was a rumour you'd had a fight with the speaker and something else had happened. But
it was a tough day, and we all have tough days. I talked to my friends, and people wrote to me saying, that happened to me once. And the only difference is that I was on the telly. And so, people have difficult days at work, and that was one for me. But yeah, that's where you should cry, not on the television. So that was my toughest.
I mean, sorry.
But it's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot to take on board. I'll get to that in a sec. But look, Mark and I do the World Cupper together. We get on fabulously, but he's a Southampton fan. I'm a Portsmouth fan. On an almost daily basis, Mark makes me cry on the show. Right. No one's coming to my aid. There's not been any national outrage. In fact, they just pile on even more, Mike. I've written to your HR department. No one wants to know. And turns out the head of the HR department is also Mark. So yeah. I'm not saying anything. But what I would say about Rachel Reeves and this particular situation is it's true of Keir Starmer as well. We seem to be glorifying the biggest failures in the UK.
Yeah.
So whether anything was going on that day or not, she was caught crying. Look, on a human level, it was unpleasant to see, actually, even though I'm no fan of Rachel Reeves and that particular government. But this week, I found just overly sickening the fact that Keir Starmer, who was hounded out by those 400 MPs, gets a standing ovation. Then Rachel Reeves gets this, gloriously high production shot of her being interviewed about as if she was like she was a Lawson figure, like she's some remarkable chancellor that really does deserve any praise at all. Both of them were utter planks and utter failures. We shouldn't have this march where we all go, "Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah,
We're going on to the next bunch of idiots now."
Well, this is the thing. And, I mean, it tells you the kind of paucity of journalism now, where Laura Kuenssberg prefaces her question with, "I don't want to pry." Well, why not? You work for the bleeding BBC. You're supposed to be prying. That's your job. You don't apologise for prying. But also, that whole segment that she did on Laura Kuenssberg's show, it was like something about through the keyhole. It wasn't actually a political interview. It was like, "Oh, look at the lovely garden I've got. My kids really had enjoyed it here, and we've had lovely parties. And, oh, look, here's a nice big room with some chairs and some lovely paintings. Isn't it great?" And of course, having then said, "My advice to my successor is don't cry at work," she then cried again on Wednesday when STARMER was getting his standing ovation.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I'm not particularly sympathetic here, Paul's a much nicer, more sympathetic man than I am, Mike, as you know. But I am a bit sympathetic to Paul when he cries on the World Cupper show because I'm mean to him. But in fairness to Paul, he knows that he has to take a seat on that show between noon and 1. And he has to try and grit his teeth. And if something goes awry, it's going to be broadcast. When Rachel Reeves broke down in tears on the front bench, she didn't need to be sitting there. Right. She wasn't actually on the verge of giving a speech or having to answer a question. So if you're feeling that grim, why go and put yourself on national television? Just go back to your office and, cry into a pillow or something. Yeah, so she exposed herself. It was not a thing that she had to be at. She chose to put herself in the line of the TV cameras unnecessarily when she had no particular function to play. So my sympathy is pretty thin, and her behaviour in that interview, as well as on the front bench, was pretty planky.
Yes. Well, if you thought that was bad, wait till you see Andy Burnham when he bursts into tears, because he looks like a bloke who's always on the brink of bursting into tears. But he is nominated this week by me because he finally did give an interview, which we've all been waiting for. And unfortunately for us, though, he gave it to Gary Lineker. Have a look at this.
When you go into number 10, first day, it's like a football manager going into a new club and you want to make an immediate impact. For you on day one, what will that be?
We've got to give people a lift, haven't we? We've got to give people a stronger sense of hope and a feeling that the country's on the way back. It's not been the best decade. However people feel about the referendum, how they voted, politics has been in a really turbulent place. And, I've got to be conscious, Gary, that I will be the 6th person to come into the role in the last decade. And that says something is wrong with politics right now.
I learned absolutely nothing there. I don't know about you.
No, of course.
But not as good as the other question he gave him, which was when he said, what are you going to do about the genocide in Gaza? And instead of Burnham correcting him, he just kind of answered it. There is no genocide. But, nobody said there's a genocide apart from crazed lefties like Lineker. Ridiculous, right?
Exactly right. Yeah, it's absurd.
Sorry, Mark, this man is about to become our Prime Minister. Now, I know it's our system. I know it's the process. And this can happen. There's 25,000 people in Makerfield that have voted for him, and now he's Prime Minister. I accept that. What I don't accept is at this pivotal point where we've just lost Starmer and Reeves, the worst combo ever. We now have Andy Burnham, and the first interview and the only interview he does is with a football pundit. This guy is not a journalist. This guy is not even a political commentator. And if he is to be deemed a political commentator, he's one hell of a biased commentator. This is not serious. This country is on its knees economically. All of our society has had enough. This should not be allowed. We need real journalists. Mike, he should come on your show. On your show and be interviewed by you, and then the country would get the interview that they deserve, not this nonsense from Lineker.
Yeah. The other thing there was, Burnham speaks there like a football manager, doesn't he? That you might expect that if you're on Gary Lineker's podcast, and Lineker says it's like day one in the dressing room. And football managers usually speak like that if they're taking over a failing club. Look, I know it's been a difficult time. There's been a lot of turmoil. We want to give hope back to the fans. We need to put things right. The best days are ahead of us. But behind the scenes, football managers are very hard-nosed. They will be explaining in detail who they're going to sack, who they want to get rid of, who they want to transfer in. But Burnham doesn't seem to think that his duty to explain himself to the public is any greater than that of a football manager. We know our football managers through TV interviews, but overwhelmingly, they're not answerable to the public. They're answerable for the results on the pitch. You know, Alex Ferguson, for years, refused to do interviews with the BBC, right?
Yeah,
He was judged on the results on the pitch. But if you're our prime minister, you do owe a proper, full explanation on an almost daily basis to the public. And Andy Burnham just seems to think that he is now the new head coach of UK United. And he's not. He's the prime minister of a great country.
I know. Absolutely ridiculous.
I know we haven't got a lot of time, but his two public actions so far are to apologise for the way that the government previously handled Gaza, which was terrible anyway, but in favour of them being even more terrible, and doing an interview with a bloke who's the face of Walker's Crisps. I mean, this is not serious.
It's really not. Right, we haven't got much time. So Adam Bolton, you can both have a go at this one.
Yeah, this is nuts, isn't it? I mean...
Yeah. Actually, we played a clip. We got the clip, haven't we? We'll play the clip.
We're out to lunch to win a round, which I have to say I think I succeeded in doing. But she was very much a spinster. I mean, by the end, I think you'd probably describe her as an old maid. Reportedly, she claimed that she was a virgin. She had a relationship at university. She went to Oxford University.
Just unpleasant.
It's totally unpleasant. And can you imagine him saying that, using the same terminology about anybody else? Imagine a kind of male politician died and Adam Bolton's asked for his thoughts. He says, well, he was like a bit of a shagger. I should start by saying that. He was a bit of a shagger. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable that the report would be about her personal private life. It's absolutely incredible that you would begin with that. I mean, maybe in a biography of her in 10 days' time, you delve into those things. And this is a man, Mike, who says that we must preserve, the delicate media ecosystem. Well, I mean, he just drove a coach and horses to do that. And it took him basically a day to apologise. I think that was the legal department.
And then his apology looked like it was written by AI, but it was Sky and Time. I think it was Times Radio that actually made him do it. I mean, I'd like to see them just, put him on ice for a while and not have to show, because he's such an odious character anyway. And he always gets everything wrong. I mean, I did a couple of shows with him at Talk TV, and he wasn't any great sage about politics at all. In fact, he told me the night that everybody resigned from Boris Johnson's cabinet, when Rishi Sunak resigned, and I think Jeremy Hunt as well, that Priti Patel was going to be the next Prime Minister. And I was like, really? I said, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. He got it completely wrong. Anyway, we've pretty much come to the end. Paul, you want to have a quick word on Bolton?
Yes, I do actually. I'm just the slight hesitation was I'm just trying to get all the swear words out of my head.
Yeah, I was going to say the one word I can think of begins with a W.
I found that to be truly disgusting, entirely unnecessary. That wasn't that was a very much an unforced error. There was no need for him to make those comments whatsoever, and he cannot justify them. This is not the way we should talk about people, particularly after they've just been murdered. And it's definitely not the way we should talk about Anne Widdecombe. This was a very decent, principled woman who deserved much, much, much more respect than Adam Bolton gave her. And he should hang his head in shame, Mike.
I agree. And in fact, I think because of that, we're going to make him Plank of the Week because, he won't probably be in the running for it very often. And I think so we might as well just give it to him because I think Burnham will get it loads and so will Starmer, even when he's not doing anything. So there we go. Thank you very much indeed. Mark Littlewood, Paul Cox, well done. We'll see you at midday for the World Cupper show. But meanwhile, Adam Bolton, Plank of the Week, be gone. Get off with you and never be seen again, and do not darken my door. Thank you very much indeed to everybody for the show today. It was great. Thanks to Charlotte, Fiona, thank you very much indeed for popping in. And of course, we will see you on Monday at 7 o'clock. And coming up next, it's Kelvin McKenzie with the Kelvin McKenzie Show over on UK Live Online. Go check it out.